Hello and welcome back to Podcast 572. As always, I am your host, Kyle, joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt, and we have our special guest this week, once again, Mr. Ryan Niemiller.
Yay! This is what, I think the fourth episode I've done.
The fourth episode.
That's not Ryan.
You're basically the fourth chair now.
Yeah, time has no meaning. If my 1-year-old son would allow it, I would do it every week. And you know, recording on Friday, that is when I tell my dick jokes. So it can be a little trickier to be consistent, but as always, I'm appreciative of being invited back. So thank you guys, appreciate it.
Oh, no problem at all. So it's been a wild week. We have, when we get to the news, we get to finally talk about the PS5 Pro because it's been announced. But before we get to all that, we got the stuff that we've been playing. I'll go ahead with the stuff that I'll start it off. I've played more Castlevania Dominus Collection, which is the DS collection. I am at the end. I think last week I said I was getting close to the end of it. I haven't had as much time to play it, but I'm at the end of the Dawn of Sorrows, so the first one. Still a fantastic collection. Like I said, it's still my one gripe with at least the first game is because of they're translating the stylus over. So the first game, you know, is all about using that little stylus to kind of do the little signature to kill the boss. That's still difficult.
That stuff's always weird when they
will
force
help
over
you.
like
So,
a
like,
touch
it's like
game.
if you fail the first time, then the second time it's like, okay, you can start with this button and it'll kind of show you. I wish it just showed you the whole time. We should recognize this isn't the best way to do this because you don't have a stylus. But
it just never works right.
They got away from that with the other ones. The only thing that's a bummer is they did. So Portrait of Ruin was a game I actually played in co-op on DS because that game had co-op if you had 2 cartridges and 2 DSs. The co-op mode's not in this collection. Do you not know that, Dan?
No. That's weird.
So the Portrait of Ruin had a co-op mode where like you would play as either the brother or the sister. The other person would play as the other character. And it had like that wireless connection. So
I guess I'm not surprised they took that out because that would mean they'd have to implement online play
exactly
for this game, and they're not going to bother. Yeah.
But I'm excited to get to that one. Obviously, I mean, the other thing I really played a lot of was Vampire Survivors. Nothing more to say there. Just because of you playing on the PlayStation, it brought back my addiction for the game.
I completed the PS5 version of it, and then I started the PS4 version of it just to.
You haven't bought the DLCs yet?
No, not yet. I mean, there's so much stuff in that game anyway.
I
really did not have to buy that, but I did immediately start the PS4 version to start it over. Just because
I need to finish my Steam version at some point. Yeah. So I've done the Xbox Series X. I'm up full achievements. 100% on all that. And then every time a new thing comes in, I dig in and play again, get my fix. But I still need to finish the Steam. That's the one I started with. I've mentioned before, I'm an achievement whore. Yeah. So if it's going to be on Xbox, I usually will jump on there. So that's why I started the PS4
version. I'll just get all the trophies again.
Yeah.
Because why not? The game's super fun to play. I'll be playing it long after I get all the trophies anyway, just because it's fun to turn on for a half hour and just screw around.
There's one thing that I did look at. I'll talk about when we get to the news because it involves a news article. But then the last thing I got to play, because for whatever reason, I thought it came out today, but it actually came out yesterday. So I had a chance to play a little bit of it yesterday, is the big Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. We're just going to call it. It's a remake. Like they remade this game in the re-engine. So, so I played maybe 2 hours of it. And if you know anything about the original Dead Rising, if you've ever played it, if you know the path of that game, like what you want to do to get all the achievements and stuff, you always want to start the first run with going for the zombie genocider achievement. to kill all the zombies. So you level up to level 50, you get the real Mega Buster. Here's the problem in this game that I didn't think about going into it. It's rebuilt in a new engine. And so I did what I did. You know, you get ready, you get the car, you go down to the tunnels. There's not nearly as many zombies. Like, to the point that I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that achievement this way. It is just like
just driving the car up and down the tunnel.
Yeah, like there are groups of them in certain clusters. Like you'll get to like, okay, here's one part of the parking area where there's a cluster. But then when you're going down the halls, it's like empty half the time.
Uh-oh.
And I get why they did it. This game runs at native 4K 60 on the consoles, which is unusual this generation. So I'm sure they had to scale back the amount of zombies in that area. But like every other area is basically recreated exactly as you remember it from the original one. But that makes this achievement, I don't know. And nobody, like I said, there's no guides for this version yet. So I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not.
There's got to be some place where you'll be able to do something like that. But
yeah, I played about 2 hours and I'm only at like maybe close to the 10,000. And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh.
So we'll see, because like that's going to put I wouldn't say it's going to put a damper in my enjoyment of the game, but like it'll be interesting to find a new way to do that if that's not.
Yeah. Now you're going to have to play it as intended.
Intended.
like a monster.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really cool is they completely voice acted everything in this version. So like, remember like all the conversations with Otis?
Yeah.
Okay, they're all fully voice acted. When you meet different people, like the one that I've already interacted with is like the first person you interact with when you get out into the mall. There's the douchebag upstairs that like wants to challenge you, running around the mall. He's taking a bunch of pictures and stuff.
Oh, the photographer guy.
Yeah, the photographer guy. Yeah, he's fully they're all fully voice acted, which is kind of cool. The only other thing that like otherwise the game looks great. I understand now. I didn't think about it before because the one other big change is it's not the original voice actor and Frank West looks different. But if you go back, and I forgot about this, if you go back and look at the footage of this game before, like when they were building it and creating it, he looks like the original model because they changed his character model for the final version. So he looks more like the original version, which is cool. And then they also put back all the stuff that they cut from the game when they shipped it. So like there was a rocket launcher that was supposed to be in the game. That's in this now. There are zombies that can actually shoot their gun, or police zombies that can shoot their guns. They're in this now.
Well, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. So, and it looks phenomenal. So,
did they do anything? And I didn't play the first one all that much when it originally came out. But did they? From what you can tell, is the time that you have to do things more forgiving, less forgiving, the same?
So. Yeah, yes and no. It still has the time limits, but the way they made it easier is it auto saves every time you go into an area, which it did in the original game. You always had to get to like the bathroom right? Or in this game, every time you go, there are the same loading screens. They're not very long, obviously, but anytime you go into an area, the game will auto save. So like if you accidentally get killed, you can either load by your auto save or by where you manually save, which helps it. But they also, and this is one thing, I guess maybe it's kind of controversial, but for that 7-day survivor mode, which was like the crazy, like leave your system on for, like 3 days, whatever, they have put the ability to save in that mode now. So, but
that's quality of life at this point though. Like,
exactly. So
you can still do it in one shot if you want to.
yeah. That's just going to make the people who it's really important that they have these digital badges of honor. Like it's only going to make them mad. Everyone else who has kids and lives and jobs is going to be very happy. They can try this.
The one thing I was hoping maybe they would do, they didn't do it, but it makes sense, is I was hoping maybe with this remaster they would put like a co-op mode in it, kind of like the second every other game. But no, they didn't here. So, but I'm having fun with it. I'll have a lot more to say about it next time I record because it literally just came out yesterday. So, but yeah, that covers the stuff that I've been playing. So I'll kick it over to you, Dan.
Okay, I haven't really played many like new release things. I've been doing random older stuff for like trophy challenges and stuff on like True Trophies. And one of the games I decided to play for a specific reason. I don't exactly know why I picked this one, but you remember that 13 remake they did?
It's the remake, okay?
I have a digital copy of it for PlayStation. I must have bought it when it was like $3 or something.
I bought it when it was super cheap, but yeah.
I remember playing it a lot. I remember beating it on like the Xbox back when it came out. This version sucks.
It's very like even good. With all the work they put into it.
Yeah,
after
it doesn't feel like anything's been made better. It almost feels worse. Like graphics have a weird and it's hard to judge it because it's kind of like a remastered, not even remastered. It's just a re-released version of an Xbox game. They have a weird like smoothness to them, but it's also jagged and blurry at the same time. And it kind of the game's meant to look like a comic book, so that's not super weird, but it's just kind of off. Movement is slow. The guns are slow. I got to a point, I was just trying to kind of blaze through it in like one day.
Yeah.
And I could have if it hadn't game-breakingly glitched on me halfway through, where there's a part where you get like caught and thrown in jail. Okay. You watch this cutscene or whatever, and when they came out of the cutscene, for whatever reason, my guy is now standing 3 feet off the ground. So I'm higher up than the ground is, to the point where like my head is sticking through the roof.
Okay.
I can look around and see everything, and now I'm clipping out of the level so I can see like the whole level design and stuff.
Yeah.
I cannot move.
Okay.
I can't interact with anything. I can't do anything. So I'm gonna have to restart the fucking game.
Does the game still have the same voice acting?
Yeah, it does. Because I thought
pulled it in probably.
Yeah, it's obviously they just took the audio files and did it. I thought maybe they would have done something to it, and because I was listening, I'm like, all right, let's make sure it's David Duchovny when he talks. I forgot how little he talks in that game. It's only a couple lines, like here and there.
Probably didn't have that much money at the time.
I don't know, because I remember it being kind of a big release.
Studio for 30 seconds.
Yeah. They were like, I got 4 minutes before I got to go shoot
X-Files episodes.
X-Files. But he says like, I think he said like 10 lines of dialogue so far. They really rely heavily on like the other characters. Okay. It's just sloppy. Controls are bad. The stealth stuff is still bad to the point where it's pointless. You just fuck it. Who cares? You just run in and shoot people. It's a hell of a mess. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I get why, because remember, wasn't it only like 40 when it came out?
I want to say it was not a full price.
But then it was like 20 almost immediately.
Because of how broken it was. And then they came out. I remember they put out that statement of like, we're gonna fix it. That's why I was curious if they fixed it.
That's why I was like, oh, they probably fixed it. If they did, it was I can't even imagine what it was like before.
They fixed the wrong things.
I'm telling you, man, that like, I've played games that have glitched before and fucked up before, but this one was super strange because I'm just hovering 3 feet in the air.
What if the way that they fixed it was they just got rid of more David Duchovny dialogue? Maybe there actually was a lot.
Yeah, what if they did? And then you know what? The thing is like the few lines you do get, you could tell it's him, but it is very much he's talking like he's not acting. Like, you know what I mean? It does seem like he's just reading lines from his script.
Reading the
probably
thing.
Was.
And it's just
damn
like
David Duchovny.
Probably got a cigarette in one hand in the VO booth, and he's just next one. It reminds me of that Simpsons episode where they get Krusty to come in and record those lines.
Oh yeah.
It's like, hey, it's Crunchy the Clown and whatever, ship it. So it just reminds me of that. It's just, I wanted to like it. I wanted it to at least be playable, but it's not even playable.
Yeah.
These things can be really frustrating because like I love a good re-release of a game.
Yeah.
Of a retro game. I like that always makes me happy to get that type of stuff. What happened but like games like this, especially because this is a first person shooter, right?
Yeah.
First person shooters from that era though, like you have to modernize them. And
in some way,
like I feel like a game like this would be really fun to go play on an actual original Xbox because there's a certain charm to that.
I have a copy.
I remember how this felt. I remember this, but when you're playing it on a modern console, it feels gross.
Well,
to then play that way.
And the only reason you're even playing it on a modern console is for the nostalgia of it, to try to remember how much you like that game. Like we talked about, like the Time Splitters games, and I'm going to get them at some point. I know in my head that Time Splitters 1 is not good, but I also remember I played that a lot. And
do you want a fun glitch about Time Splitters? Because so I bought 2 and 3 when they announced those trophies, which I put in the news. I played half of a level of 2 before it crashed on my PlayStation. So it's one of the only few games that just like crashed on my PlayStation where you get like the little error message. But if I go on the app or if I look at it on the dashboard, it says I'm playing Time Splitters 1.
That's because in the store, they're all listed under Time Splitters 1.
Okay. Interesting.
For whatever reason, they decided to put those games on the store as like different versions of Time Splitters.
Okay.
I don't know why the hell
they all have separate trophy lists now.
Yeah,
like
they're all different games, but for whatever reason, it decided to like list them as one game.
But yeah, I played through half of the first level of 2, and then it crashed, and I was like, I'll look at this later.
Yeah.
So
this is feature Kyle's problem.
Yeah.
not right now.
I'm sure that'll be my problem when I eventually buy them all too. But, after that, I played everybody's favorite Batman game, Gotham Knights.
You played the one that's so good he's not in it.
Well, no, he's in it. He's in the beginning. Dead.
Did you enjoy the beginning?
No, because he sounds like trash.
He sounds terrible. Whoever the voice actor, I think they could have just got what's his name that played Chris Redfield, who did
could
it.
Got anybody to do it. He's only in the game for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, his voice sounds super off. That's not nearly the worst.
No, he's also built weird. He's got a lot of character models in this game are built weird.
In fairness, who isn't?
Well, that's true.
Look at this motley crew. All right, we're all built a little weird.
But that's a common theme in this game where people are built weird. I will say that like I did enjoy like the opening cutscene, like story of like him in that fight in the cave was pretty cool.
It looks cool visually.
It's kind of thing where you're like, oh man, that would be pretty cool, like in an actual movie. But then the game starts and you're like, oh, this thing sucks.
So you're playing as?
I'm playing as Batgirl. Okay. My buddy who I'm playing it with is playing as Nightwing because, this game about 4 Bat characters is 2 players.
Yeah. I remember that being a huge complaint when it came out.
Can't have you play as all 4 of them at once because why would you?
Did you get past the part where you can actually play together? Because there's a good chunk of the beginning.
You have to play a pretty decent amount
like
of
an hour
tutorial crap.
So,
I just sped through it. So we got to that part where you unlock like the belfry. And then we finished the first Harley thing where you have to go to Blackgate or whatever. This is another one of those games where the progress is supposedly shared, but it's saved host side. So when I quit, it doesn't count me as having played that entire last story level. Wow, great. So now I can't ever touch this game unless I'm playing with him. And even then, who knows if it's going to track my progress. The thing about the game is it feels like there's a game in there somewhere that I would enjoy, but it feels like they just missed every part of it. Like the combat isn't as good.
No, it's because
close.
They had to scale it back for you to unlock stuff.
Right.
That's wild.
I do like the idea of like check out all these suits and like making the suits. That's fun. I always like different suits in superhero games. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of fun to do, but the material system is so jacked up, none of it makes any sense.
No, it's bad.
They're all dropping fiber and tubes and all this stuff, but it's like thousands of them. It's like, why is the number scaling? Why do I need 1,000 of these? Why can't it be 10? Like the scaling is so off.
I often carry around thousands of tubes.
Yeah, it's like Joker tubes or whatever the fuck.
If you followed the news, Diddy had thousands of loops.
Yeah,
so I mean, it works out.
Good Lord. But yeah, so like that crafting stuff it's kind of whatever, just because it feels like this is. I thought they would be dropping gear, not me having to make all of the gear.
Yeah,
so it's not really even a looter shooter, which is what it was kind of like touted as.
That's kind of how they pitched it.
Yeah, and that would be okay if I was just getting gear and like breaking gear down and stuff, but that's not what it is. Let's talk about the bat cycles for a second. Those are so fucking broken. It makes no sense.
They're very broken. Yeah.
You can wheelie forever.
Yeah.
On turns, you can wheelie.
Yeah.
It makes no sense at all. You can hit people with your wheeling bat cycle. Nothing happens.
You just keep going.
You just keep going.
Yeah.
You could drive over cars in your wheeling bat cycle. They also have 0 sense of speed. Like they try to play it off like this like Arkham is like this big town. It's not. It's very small.
It's not very big.
And because you have a grappling hook where you can just Spider-Man all over the city, Spider-Man is a huge town. This is maybe a sixth of it.
And I think the other thing that's important to note is that this game technically is not in the Arkhamverse, even though it really seems like it
wants
should
to be. It
really
wants to be.
And that was the thing when I originally played, when I got it and told my girlfriend because she wanted to play it. And I explained to her many times, like, because my girlfriend doesn't play very many games, but the series that she has played and played to death, and 100% of each one is Arkham.
Yeah.
And so this was the one that she hasn't played. And I told her, this is not an Arkham game.
It's
that's the reason we haven't gone back is because she learned that when she started getting into the combat. She's like, oh, this doesn't seem right. I'm like,
it's as much of an Arkham game as Origins is.
Yeah.
Whereas like Origins, like they really just tried to tell you that it was, but it doesn't fit into the story at all.
Yeah.
This one, it really wants it to be after Arkham Knight. It's not.
It's not.
It's its own thing. Like I said, there's a part of a game in there somewhere that I do enjoy. But when Red Hood's shoulders are wider than every other part of his body, he looks like he's a fucking triangle.
I told you
it doesn't make any sense, and he sounds like an idiot.
He reminds me of Knuckles from Sonic Boom.
That's the best example you could get.
Exactly.
It sounds like he has CTE.
It's very weird. Yeah.
Hey, why am I here?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, remember when Joker killed me? He's brought that up like 3 times. Yeah, we get it, dude. Barbara Gordon
how cool he was in Arkham Knight.
Yeah, Batgirl doesn't walk around saying, I got shot in the back all the time.
Yeah.
Like, let it go.
It's
we'll finish it just because it's on the list of like C-tier co-op games. Speaking of which,
Suicide Squad on there?
Suicide Squad Digital Deluxe went down to $20, so now I am the proud owner of Suicide Squad.
Oh, you bought it at $20.
I told you 20 for Digital Deluxe was the magic number.
Okay, because I saw the regular one was down. It got down to 10, I think, on the Xbox store, and I was like,
if I'm gonna go all in on a shitty game, let's go all the way in. $20.
I will be curious to know which one you think is better, this or Gotham Knights. So when you play Suicide Squad,
I have a feeling. I think I will think Suicide Squad is better.
I would hope
because it's made by Rockstar.
Yeah.
When you boot Gotham Knights up and the WB Montreal logo comes up, you immediately go, "Oh shit, I forgot."
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be bad. Hey, you know what though? Cars are the correct size this time.
Yeah, they got that right.
They got that right this time. You're not twice as tall as a car. Yeah, it's whatever. We needed something to play together, and that was on the list. You haven't gotten
to the Court Owl stuff at all in it?
No, we just finished the Harley stuff.
That's the one part of the game that seems pretty cool.
Just as fucking dumb as everything else.
Because they treat it respectfully. So,
well,
in a way that
crossed.
The only other thing that I can think of that we've gotten the Court Owls in that's not comics was Gotham, and they did not treat it very respectfully there. So
it started off okay, and then it spun out of control.
Weird. Yeah.
So there's that. Speaking of stuff I bought cheap, I did buy Crew 2 for $1 because why wouldn't you?
Okay.
For $1 if they're adding an offline mode?
I saw that because they also announced, because I haven't bought it yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's past that $1, but they did announce that they're basically going to make it an offline game.
Yeah. If you're going to add offline to that for $1, sure. Well, why not?
Okay. You should probably do that.
Yeah, you should. Other than that, I tried to play more Astro Bot, and then here's where the fun story comes in.
Yeah.
Here's the weird thing. I did confirm that this is happening to other people. It's not just me.
Okay.
But that game kills my system. Approximately 45 minutes to an hour into playing that game, it shuts off. Oof. And I'm not talking like it kicks me to the dashboard. My system shuts off. And you read online where it's like, oh, it's overheating, you need to clean it or whatever. I popped the panels off. I cleaned the whole thing out. I blew the fan out from both sides. I think what it actually is the fan in my system is dying, which not unheard of in consoles, because if something's going to die, that's not near the top of the list. I might look into cracking in there and figuring out how to replace that, because that can't be too bad. It's really got to be just buying the right size and having the right power thing on it. And I'm sure I could get one on AliExpress or Temu if I really wanted, top quality stuff. But but that game, I've tried doing like rebuilding the database in the system. I tried, I unplugged it. I left it unplugged for a day, plugged it back in. 45 minutes to an hour, it turns the system off. And this is, remember, so I thought maybe my system was dying because remember when we played Outriders at one time, it happened.
Yeah.
And that was, but we had played Outriders for 30 hours before that happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then
we played a lot of it.
And then it did do it again after the first 20 minutes of Gotham Knights, it did it. So it certainly seems like my system's overheating, but it's clean. But then I played Gotham Knights for 2 hours and it was fine.
And it doesn't feel like hot when you're touching it or anything, right?
The back of it, because the only way to turn it back on is I have to unplug it and plug it back in. The back of it is hot.
Okay.
However, I don't normally just go around touching the back of my PlayStation after playing it for a couple hours.
Yeah.
So maybe that part is just super hot all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to suspect that the fan is on its way out. So I gotta figure that out, which will be fun. Again, it doesn't seem like a huge problem to fix, but it is what it is. Another game I played really quick, and I won't talk about it too much, is I did it for trophies and stuff. So I started playing Shadow of War. Keeping in mind that couple things. One, I don't like Lord of the Rings. Number two,
I was gonna say
number two,
you're playing a Lord of the Rings game. That's
never played the first one. You couldn't tell me what's going on at any of this.
So good.
I think this game's incredibly generic. It's Assassin's Creed Mordor, right? Is it supposed to be something else?
The thing that's cool about it is the Nemesis system.
That part's kind of neat, where you're like like learning about people, but that's the only thing I can feel like is any different. But
it
even
feels
then,
very similar to
Assassin's Creed games had something like that, where like
they did,
those notorious guys would like track you down, and if you went anywhere near them, they'd fuck you up. So I get why people like this. Maybe if I like Lord of the Rings, I'd actually care, but I don't. So
that's what I'm
gonna get my 4 more trophies I need to get and delete it. Goodbye. And then real quick, last thing, I got some pickups just because I like to share this when I got them. I'm not going to include anything I bought off of Ryan because I bought too much stuff off of Ryan.
Yeah,
I'm sure he doesn't.
You didn't buy enough for me.
Not yet. Not yet. But I'm sure you don't want to bring back all those fond memories of shitty NES games I bought from you.
My heart pangs for Where's Waldo.
Yes, and Monopoly for Super Nintendo.
Yes.
So these are just ones that I got from a couple different places, some GameStop stuff, but like I got F-Zero for Game Boy Advance. Good one I don't have. Mario Power Tennis for Game Boy Advance. Another, like, these are all heavy hitter stuff I just didn't have. And Donkey Kong Country 3 for Game Boy Advance. And then this is pretty cool. These are good. I got an Excite Bike box.
That's cool. Okay. That's actually really good condition.
Yeah, these are really good.
Nice.
I have a better one to show you in a second. But so I got this Excite Bike box. This actually has the foam in it because they have like a foam brick this big because the cart's only that big. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Then I got this box.
Oh wow, that's a really good.
And this actually has, and Ryan, you'll probably know, it has that little like poster thing in it.
That's cool.
Like, hi, I'm Mike Tyson or whatever. So like, you don't always find those because a lot of times all that shit would get destroyed. So
yeah, it's like a letter from him or something like that, right?
It's a weird little like Mike Tyson.
It's a pen pal thing. Yeah.
He wrote it from prison, I think.
Yeah.
And then these are good just because didn't have them for Cube and I had an opportunity to get them all, so I got WrestleMania 19.
That's a cool one.
WrestleMania 18. No Day of Reckoning. I wish I had Day of Reckoning. And then I got Legends of Wrestling. So yeah,
man,
just some good wrestling cube stuff I didn't have. And then I bought a lot of stuff from Ryan, but we'll forget about that.
Yes. Nobody needs to know.
No, not until I can look through the rest of it and see what else I want. And then they can have the scraps.
There you go.
All right, but that's it for me.
By you, Matt.
I played some more TMNT Shredder's Revenge. I have went ahead and bought both, the DLC for both the Switch and the Xbox now because my youngest is addicted to that game. I actually went back and I'm playing through Shadows of Mordor. And
so the first one, okay.
Yeah, man. Opposite of Dan, I love that game. Game is so good, man. And I feel like it's not even because I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. I just like I like it just because of some of the stuff. It like the Nemesis system is like one of the biggest things in it that I really enjoy because it's cool to just have people come back after you've like sliced them and diced them and they've like returned from the dead and been like,
I haven't had that happen to me yet in this. Yeah. I've killed a bunch of them, but
and like Shadows of War is the one where I had a guy literally hunting me down for like four sessions, and every time dude had like a different body part that was like a limb or like a tree branch, and I was like, this dude's eventually gonna die, right? Like sooner or later it's just gonna be a bush following me around and I don't get what's happening. But yeah, I went back to it just because it was already uploaded on my Xbox, and I was like, you know what, I just want to play something to kind of just pass the time, not really like get into anything. And I went ahead and did that. I played some more Gym Simulator, and then my wife questioned what I'm doing with my life, and I stopped playing it.
Like the questions I got when I'm playing Supermarket Simulator.
She saw me playing it, and she was like, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, it's
could
gym."
Go to the gym, you know. And you're like,
nah, it's too much work. No, she was just like,
you can't let people into the showers.
That's the thing about it. She was just like, what are you playing? And I said, "Oh, it's Gym Simulator." And she was like, why are you doing this? And I was like, well, I'm going to stop playing this game for a little while you're in the bedroom and go back to something else. And then I saw that, Xbox is having another, like, I think everybody's having a sale, like trying to clear out some stuff. And they had the Hogwarts for the Xbox One for like $17. It was like a good chunk off. And I was like, well, you know what? I don't see myself investing in a new console anytime soon. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. And I played through essentially the intro and when you got to the sorting hat spot. And so I picked my house, and that's where I'm at right now.
What house did you get?
Gryffindor.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have to say, I mean,
how many times did you restart to get Gryffindor?
I didn't have to. I wish I shook.
Save scumming to get Gryffindor.
Yeah. I told myself, I was like, look, whatever house I get picked, I'm just going to run with it. I was like, we're not going to try. And I got it, and I was like, shocking. All right, let's just roll with this. All in all, though, I mean, it's not bad so far. I haven't really gotten to too much of it, but the story, now is interesting. So, I mean, it's piqued my interest.
And like I said, you get the broomstick early on. So, like, you can fly around that world pretty early on in that game. They don't gate that as much as I would have thought they would. So,
well, that's good. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I think I'm going to try to... And besides, it's like the same people that made Shadows of Mordor and all that jazz. So
the team that made that game is combined of people that made the Shadow of War games, and people that made Just Cause.
Yeah, which is ironic because those two are some of like the most. I don't know if you've seen some of the shit that happens in Just Cause, but you can literally just fucking stand there and shit just starts going bananas. Like that game is wild. Like
Wasn't that one of our top like selling out when we were at GameStop games?
Nonstop.
Not 2.
Just Cause 2 specifically.
For 360.
If we had a copy in the store, it wouldn't last more than 5 or 10 minutes. And it was one of the rare used games that would eventually climb up to be like $50 used.
When they finally stopped printing new copies. Kind of like the same thing that happened with Skate 3.
Skate 3. Yeah. My fucking God. We would sell Skate 3 used for $55 when it was when it had been platinum hits for $20 for like years. But the minute they stopped making new copies, the best part was we would get new copies in that were used, which so that we could sell them for like $55. But it's because they would sell constantly.
I can't.
You guys are charging $55 for this, so I'm not going to buy it. Okay, great. And then they leave, and the next person come up and be like, "Can I buy Skate 3?" Yeah. We could have. That company could have lived on burned copies of Skate 3 for years.
This is another reason why I'm trying to learn patience with game collecting. Just Cause 2. You said Xbox 360, right?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
On price charting right now is $5.43.
Yeah, that's right.
Sounds right.
But not in 2000. When would that have been? 13, 14?
13, 14, 15,
around there. That's why I'm trying to learn self-patience that you don't have to let that FOMO get to you.
We would get phone calls. If it showed up in our computer, I'd get phone calls from stores from different states you get people calling, can you hold it? No. Absolutely. Any game like that where it was just like I could sell it to the next person that walks in the door, I'm not holding it. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I just remember that Skate was probably the biggest.
Skate was number one. That was number one. Just Cause 2 was number 2, and Payday 2 was number 3.
That's wild.
Payday 2 was huge.
Payday 2 was a shit show for years.
Yeah, it was.
Remember when we just didn't get copies, and then it got delayed, and then it was like we got one, and it was just like, and everybody was like, "You guys got Payday 2? No, stop calling."
Skate 3 now checking in at $7.50.
Yeah, well, like I said, there was one that literally that we had that new for years for $20, and if we got new copies for $20, it would sell the minute it was checked in.
It would be every week when we would check in distros, it would be in there because we were constantly selling it.
We used to have a function in the computer that was just called SKU Convert, where we change new games into used games. And a lot of times it would be like old new shit nobody ever bought. And it was just a way to get rid of it because then it could be marked down and whatever. But every so often it would be a new title they stopped making copies of. And if that happened and it was people gave a shit about, it tripled in price the next day.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane.
Whatever. That's business, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you just wait until now. Bought it for $7.
There you go.
Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy, $17. I was like, I can't say no to that one, so I went ahead and pulled the trigger. Speaking of, I think I might go back on. Well, and I bought Homefront. I told you that.
Yeah, you told me about that today.
Yeah, like it had all the DLC to it. It was only like $4, and I was like, well, shit, that's not a bad price at all.
You bought that, and I bought finally, even though I have a physical copy, Alien Fireteam Elite or whatever, but I bought like the version that has all the DLC, so I have it digitally because I'm going to try and get my girlfriend to play that game. So, but
that's all I've been working on.
I don't need 2 copies of it. So
the amount of stuff I have physically and digitally is sad.
I bought that game when it came out for whatever price.
You see it pop up on a digital storefront. It's $4, and I never have to put the disc in again.
Yeah, okay. That's part of how I'm paring down my collection is looking at the stuff that I have 18 different versions of it through various digital stores and physically, and I'm like, do I really need 18 of them? Probably not.
Well, I mean, it depends on what it is, right?
I mean, if it's Skate 3, then of course you need like 18 of them. Yeah.
There you go. That covers you, Matt.
That covers me.
What about you, Ryan? Is there anything you've been playing?
Nothing crazy. I've been doing some achievement competition contest things as well. So I think it's probably Dan, was yours the alphabet challenge? Yeah. Is that what True Trophies do? I do achievement stuff.
I do trophies, so we get the same stuff. So I'm finishing my the only reason I'm playing Lord of the Rings is because I needed a game that had the word Earth in the title. And that's one of the few games that qualifies, and I have.
How does that work? Like you need to get a certain amount of trophies in it or something?
10 or something that have either earth, wind, or fire in the title of the name or the trophy. And I was like,
so you got a slightly
I'm doing the targets.
Contest.
I'm doing the targets, but then there's also the alphabet. Yes,
got it. Yeah, okay. So I've been doing the alphabet, so I've been busting it, but unlocking some achievements and games I haven't touched since like 2017 and things like that. But the stuff I've actually put some time in that I would say I'm actually playing. One of them, I'll just say right off, was because of the competition. I needed a V achievement. Okay. So I played, speaking of Where's Waldo, it's a similar style, Hidden Cats in Rome.
Hell yeah. I know what that game is.
Yeah. Apparently there's a lot of Hidden Cats games in various locations where literally you're just on a map and you have to find the cats that are hidden in there. And there's hundreds of them. It's not Where's Waldo where there's a bunch of shit going on and then he's just like, hey, there's just hundreds of cats that you have to find all of them. So I finished that. I like hidden image games, honestly. Like they're not like, they're not game of the year or they're not like a 10 out of 10. They're never going to be that. But if you want to be playing a game, but not really doing much, they're fun for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I felt like the Nintendo DS had a bunch of those.
Of
that huge, because they could get away with it easier because you could just tap the screen. You had like Mystery Case Files, Millionaire, all that kind of crap.
Yeah, Millionaire.
H-E-I-R.
And then the rap version, Chameleonaire.
There you go.
I like this game a lot. And I've been needing it to kind of keep achievement streaks going on to get my rewards points. I've been playing the PC version of The Walking Dead Season 1, the Telltale.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've been really having to rush through it now because I just found out it's leaving Game Pass at the end of the month. So now it's not a terribly long game, but to get through all 6 episodes, it's 12 hours at least. You gotta it's just time. But I've been enjoying playing that again. There's a couple things in there I didn't remember happening, and that hit me a little bit harder now that I'm a dad than when I originally played it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of that stuff. And then the other game I played, I've had this on my wish list and went on sale a couple weeks ago. Terror of Hemosaurus. So it's an indie style game. It's similar to Rampage.
Okay.
Like the original Rampage, kind of like a more modern version of that. There's a real kind of douchey story attached to it in a stupid way, where it's like I can't believe that people don't believe climate change is real. So you brought back this dinosaur but it's like really on the nose, and like I was like, shut up. Like it's one of the the gameplay is fun. I like destroying the cities and like doing all that is a lot of fun, but it shows how hard it is to actually write video games. Yeah. But it's probably like it's like a team of 2 guys who are trying to get their strong message across, and you're just like, shut up and let me break buildings. Like I agree with the climate change. It's one of those things that like I can agree on principle, but it's so smarmy and douchey that I'm just like, shut up. I'd rather the earth be on fire than listen to it. But the game itself is a lot of fun. Like it's just 8 hours to get all the achievements and get everything done. It's not, not a crazy investment time wise, but it's a lot of fun. And there's just tons of shit exploding all the time, which is very satisfying. Not overly difficult. Sometimes you just want to, mash X and things explode and you go through that. So I've been playing a lot of that. And then on a small note, you kind of reminded me a little bit of this, Dan, when you're talking about the game prices going up for random stuff. I'm so furious. I'm not mad at GameStop for once. I'm mad at Walmart. Because I went to one of our Walmarts around town. One of my favorite things to do with my 1-year-old son, because it keeps him occupied, is we go shopping. Because he likes to go, ooh, and he's contained in a cart, which is nice. But at this particular Walmart, they happen to have a copy of Concord on the shelf.
You know what happened?
And I was like, okay, like obviously the game's dead. Like I don't care, but like physical copies are selling for like $100 some bucks on eBay right now. So I was like, 1, please. I will take that. And their system
said no.
They had to return it. Yeah. And it's like, I wanted to explain, because like, can I just give you money? But I didn't want to out what I'm trying to do. I'm just like, what can we do to make this happen? And they were like, nothing. And I went, damn it.
Yeah. Speaking of someone who dealt with computer systems like that, it just literally just says a big, like no matter what you click, it just takes it off and it's just gone.
Yeah, but, I was disappointed. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Yeah.
You gotta find that old lady that doesn't work in electronics. That's like, I'll put it as a picture and we'll just sell it to you.
That's about the only way to get around that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it would have been nice to make that extra $50 or $60.
Yeah, especially now while it still has that value, because people are freaking out thinking it's going to be 400, 500,000. It's going to be nothing at some point.
Yeah,
like that game specifically.
They printed quite a few copies of it.
Yeah.
So
the people who wanted it bought it, right?
Aren't they just going to eat? What do they do with those copies? Just ET it?
I mean, at GameStop, as far as I know right now, they're being held in the back. But my thought is that they'll just get field destroyed at some point, where they'll just tell them, "Fuck it, break it in half, throw it in the garbage."
Yeah.
Which I would take pride in doing that, because remember, we would have stuff in field destroy that was perfectly fine. These controllers, break these in half. Fuck it. Take a hammer to it, smash it.
For what didn't they? We would do well. They did the penny guides thing, but then weren't we supposed to like rip the covers?
Sure.
No, I'm saying
we were supposed to rip the covers off.
Yeah, you'd go over to half price books and there's six
copies
Elder
of
Scrolls 5 guides. Yeah, that was always the fun thing. We would go check like the day after.
Yep.
Somebody did this.
I know who did it. in our area anyway.
Yeah,
he wasn't
you.
He wasn't walking.
That's why you know. I'm the one that did it.
I'm not the effort of taking it to Half Price Books to get $1 for it. Fuck that. Too lazy.
Their pricing system's gotten really wacky lately.
It's straight. Half Price Books is bizarre because the only way I can figure it is it depends on who's pricing stuff that day.
It has to be
just on a whim.
Yeah,
they price it by feel.
I think I think they have a thing where like they generally look stuff up, but I think if it has the word Pokemon or Mario or anything like that on it, it has to be priced a certain way.
I'm sure.
But everything else it's hit or miss. I've gotten box stuff there for far less than it should have been. Sometimes you go to a bad one and things are $100 more than they should be. And you're like, who the fuck knows at this place?
Well, we can get into the news. We might. I guess it's time.
Did anything happen?
Did anything happen yet?
Do we have to talk about this?
I guess we should rip it off and just begin. The PS5 Pro has been announced. We had it's funny. It was literally right after we last recorded, and we kept talking about it seems like it's getting closer and closer. And then it was like the day before, like, we're going to have a 9-minute video tomorrow.
9 minutes.
And the first thing I thought to myself is, can Mark Cerny talk for just 9 minutes? Can they condense that to 9 minutes? Like, is it possible? So it's been announced. We've seen it. We know what it is. It's not a very good deal.
It's awful.
At least in my opinion.
Mark Cerny seemed really excited. He thought
he's very excited.
That presentation was fucking.
It was
boring.
terrible
bad.
for a lot of reasons. We'll go through the bad stuff here. So
horrible.
The first thing we'll say is it is $700. I kept saying after literally for 10 minutes straight, I just kept saying to myself after the presentation, it's $700.
To yourself, you were basically yelling at me in texts that it was $700.
It's $700. Like I couldn't believe it. I thought maybe max $6. So
I told you I had a feeling it was going to be crazy.
It is $700.
I feel like you could have gotten $700 if
it had a disc drive
but
in it.
Or
what?
a stand.
It doesn't.
A stand.
The stand is extra bullshit to me because it's in every picture of the fucking thing. If you're not going to put it in the box, don't even put it in the picture. The console's already floating in space. I don't need to know that it's floating in space on a stand in your picture. Take the fucking stand off.
It's important to note
it's a disclaimer thing.
It's the vertical stand.
Right.
Because it's not like the OG PS5 where the stand did both.
No. Well, they have to give you a horizontal stand.
They have to. There's no way you can lay it down.
Because the system cannot sit horizontally the way it's designed.
Why? No. Because it's an MC Escher painting.
God Lord. Fucking terrible.
So if you want to get, for most people that want this thing, it's over $800 when you're all said and done.
That's such
because
trash.
You're looking at a disc drive that is $80, which
if you can buy
is now
one.
just up to
if you can buy one.
I was gonna say is now up to scalpers because those things sold out immediately.
Yep.
It's funny because right before the conference, I thought to myself like maybe I should buy one of these disc drives just to have. Like if I ever want to go, and I shouldn't have done it. I think I would have just sat on it.
I think they're going to make a lot more of them. I think right now it's just a thing, but if they're going to go forward with digital systems and this thing, then they have to make more disc drives. They don't have a choice.
And then obviously the vertical stand thing is bullshit as well. But
that's kind of whatever.
My biggest issue with all even $700 is probably my biggest issue is too expensive. But there wasn't a single new game shown in this 9-minute presentation. They started with showing you how good the grass is going to look in Last of Us Part 2 Remastered.
Fuck that
was the first thing they showed.
Kyle, who gives a shit about that? What about the parade in Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah, it's like Ratchet and Clank. So they just showed you like how these games are going to look slightly better in a fused quality and performance mode.
And it's all bullshit. You could have swapped the labels at the top for like this is this one and this is this one, and everyone would have been like, "Oh yeah, I see. Oh yeah, I see it."
Oh yeah.
No, you don't. Because when they showed the Spider-Man one was the worst one because the worst one. The scenes weren't even the same. They looked different because the traffic and stuff was different. So it's too hard to focus on. Does that tree look better? I can't tell because there's cars fucking moving everywhere. Like this is what is the whole time is like what is happening?
And to me, again, I will say, like, you're watching this over something that's being streamed on YouTube, so there's going to be compression, but like, even still, it just.
But here's a question for you: how was there not one new game shown in that? And by new game, I mean the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster is basically going to be shown to us in like a week, right?
Yeah, it's more or less announced.
Sure,
minus the actual announcement.
Wouldn't that have been the perfect place to show it? Because that would have been, because that's a PS4 game that's going to be on PS5 Pro.
There you go. Yeah,
that's when you show it, because then it's like that game is guaranteed to look different. It's not going to be this guy's eyelash in the corner is better. I have more polygons for his eyelash.
Yeah,
like all the tech stuff and it's whatever. I believe you that it's more powerful. I get it. I'm not buying it to play Spider-Man 2 again.
Like and that was, so they showed the different games that are going to have like official pro patches or whatever. And the one that gets me is Dragon's Dogma, because they're promising, Dragon's Dogma is going to have 60 frames or whatever. But the problems with Dragon's Dogma, as we've talked about, because I've played it on both PC and Xbox now, they're CPU bound problems. But the CPU in this new system is only 10% more powerful. It's just the GPU is what's being heavily upgraded. So like, I don't know if that's going to fix the problems with
the other stuff. I mean, the other stuff like the AI upscaling stuff is interesting.
That's interesting.
I'm interested to see like what that could do for older stuff. None of the stuff you showed me matters at all.
That's another thing that bothered me is like they clearly said, I believe it was either during the presentation or in the press release after, that the PS4 or I keep calling the PS4 Pro, the PS5 Pro is going to like have significant upgrades and boosts for PS4 games.
Show it.
And why didn't you show that?
Show all of it.
This would have been perfect time to show Bloodborne running at 60 frames.
No. You can't show that one.
You don't think
that is the last
You cannot show that game.
But if you should,
I mean, considering everything I've seen so far the last couple of days, talking about the Horizon remaster, it's just people going, "We want fucking Bloodborne!" Like that's the response to everything.
This is they could have shown it and just like, "This is the best you're gonna get, assholes." The PS4 version run out of PS5 Pro. It was such a thud of an announcement. Because not only is this thing $700 fucking dollars, $800 if you want a thing with the drive. The current model didn't change price at all,
and the controllers went up $5.
Right, so we're not even talking like this is the next step of our system line. That's not what it is. This is if you give a shit and you want to spend this money, this system exists.
Yeah,
it's not an entry level. The entry level is still $500.
Yeah, what I think is going to happen with that is they're just eventually, we didn't make any more entry-level ones. I think that's going to be what eventually the stores will only have that, and that'll just be the way you play.
That'll be real fucking bad if that's the case.
Yeah. I don't think that they'll formally announce that's what they're doing.
Oh no!
I think it'll just kind of eventually. That's the thing. I will say, like, I have no desire to buy this because I'm not ready for digital only in my life yet. I know inevitably that is what is going to be, but I'm not ready for that to be today for me.
No.
but I will say I was so annoyed by this announcement because like. It seems so easy for Sony to not look like assholes compared to all the dumb shit that Xbox has been doing recently. And then like, it's like, are they in a competition? Is there like a $1 trading places bet between Sony and Microsoft where they're like, I bet you I can make people hate us more by doing something stupid.
Gotcha. They saw this ABK thing go down. They saw Starfield flop, all these games getting delayed. And they said, check this shit out.
Yeah, watch what we can do.
like 9 minutes.
I'm so annoyed by this that like seeing some of the very strong like the Twitter accounts that are like PlayStation Twitter accounts, watching them try to justify why this is great has made me want to delete Twitter.
It's crazy.
Not just like not care about Sony. Like I want to get rid of the entire app finally. All the right-wing weird shit that at least is like, you know, train wreck mortific to watch where you're just like, I can't believe they're allowing, but this is just like, okay, you've gone one step too far. I'm out.
It's like insane.
I get what they're doing in a sense. They're trying to be like, this is the premier experience.
Well,
you're a Sony person, you have to get it. But even as like someone I am PS5 this generation, I have bought physical games for 4 years. You're immediately telling me go fuck myself because you want me to pay $800? Not only that, but if you really want one, you can't even get one from anyone else but them for the first 2 weeks. The disk drives are gone. I can't get value out of my current system towards it if I have to go through you. Like the whole thing is just a shit show.
Sucks too. That part sucks too, because the thing that's dumb about that is they didn't announce that until the following day. They just said that day, I was like, oh, pre-orders are going to go live on September 26th. And then it was the very next day. Oh, by the way, it's ridiculous. Only on PlayStation Direct until October 10th. Then you can go to GameStop or Walmart or whatever and reserve it there. But they won't get as many. It tells me like GameStops are probably going to get what, like 3, 4, 5 systems.
This is someone who worked the PS3 launch. Like obviously that was a new console. This is a half gen thing.
Yeah.
That one was a disaster. And you want to know half the reason why? It's because of the fucking price. No one wanted a PS3 at launch. Nobody did. Not only that, it didn't have any games. The PS5 Pro kind of doesn't have any games that I haven't already played. I told you I'd love to see what Final Fantasy 16 looks like on a Pro.
They haven't shown that, but they've shown Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Right. But I would love to see what 16 looks like on a Pro. But again, I've already played it. It's not an incentive for me to spend $800 to see how much better it looks.
Yeah, and I've already platinumed Horizon Forbidden West. I'm not going to go back to that.
Right.
I've already played God of War Ragnarok. I'm not going to go back to that. We know full well I'm never going to play Last of Us Part 2 again. So like everything that they showed, I just looked at and was like, I don't have a desire to return to these games. You're not showing me anything new. And the worst part about all of this, I mean, one of the reasons why it's $700 is there's no direct competition this time.
Right.
Microsoft is not doing this. They've clearly said multiple times, we're not going to have a mid-gen system.
That's an intelligent decision on their part.
It is, but it also makes me think that they're going to go earlier with whatever their next system is.
2 years, 3 years.
I think I'm still thinking it's 2026 for them.
26 is logical for them.
I've seen some people trying to push next fall. It's too soon.
Well, think about it this way, too.
It's too soon.
If you go back to like what a PS4 versus a Pro is, or an Xbox versus a One X is, those are half steps up. But we're at a point now where Series X and PS5 are just computers in a box.
There
isn't really a half step up anymore. It's just the next computer you build every 5 or 6 years. That's another one of the big arguments right now. It's like, if you're telling me I should spend $800 on a PS5 Pro, which is marginally better than what I already have, why wouldn't I just spend $800 to build a PC? I
told you, like, after this was all said and done, last Saturday I sat down and I pieced out building a new computer in the spring because I'm just going to do it a year earlier than I normally would. I'd rather, because with my work bonus, I'd rather do that in the spring instead of buy this PS5 Pro that is slightly better.
And even if you have to spend a little bit of extra money, like I think getting the exact same thing with a PC for $800, you might have to bump it up a little bit.
Sure.
But with the knowledge that with the PC, you can do a billion more things.
Right.
Yes.
That,
exactly.
And also
way more use.
And also for a PC, realistically, if I go all in and I spend over $1,000 to buy a PC instead of buying this PS5 Pro for $800, in 4 years when the PS6 comes out, I can just upgrade the graphics card in my computer.
Yeah.
And we're still right there. And yes, I'm going to miss out on PlayStation exclusives. But
a little bit.
But I still have a PS5.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Mine's a piece of shit right now, but it's right here.
I mean, Matt, you're the only one of us here that has a PS4, and you haven't missed anything. Even some of these exclusives,
really
Astro Bot would probably be the only recent thing you can't play because it's only on PS5.
And I think, to be honest with you, like, my youngest has been watching videos on Astro Bot, and he's like super peaked in it. But I just can't. Like, the only thing I really wanted to play was Spider-Man. I played it, and it was good. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but not for me to spend $500 on a system I don't really have a desire to upgrade to, just to I don't even know. Like, there's just nothing that really like even strikes me to this day that's made me go, man, I really need to get my hands on a PS5.
Yeah. Now, do we think with this, because I do think it's a good argument that I don't think this is going to sell amazingly out the gate.
No.
But do we think that GTA 6 will be the thing that makes people finally go, all right?
Early reports say that system's not even going to help that game that much.
Yeah.
Well,
GTA 6,
but not everyone's going to do that research to know that.
Sure,
No.
but GTA 6 apparently, even with everything, is still probably going to be 30 frames. So then, what do I need a Pro for? The promise of the Pro during that stupid presentation was you don't have to choose anymore. You don't have to pick performance or quality anymore.
But then it came out
the
after
best of the both
you
worlds.
still do.
And then right after that thing came out, it said, you're still going to pick though. You're still going to have a choice. It's just going to make it harder to tell the difference.
I think the game that was the most egregious with it was Alan Wake 2. When I was looking at it, because Alan Wake 2 has like 5 different modes you could choose from on the PS5 Pro. So it's just...
I shouldn't be choosing modes anymore.
No.
The mode should be called PS5 Pro, and it should just be
the mode is I hit power.
The mode is $800.
Yeah.
What am I paying for that I have to choose between these? When most of that presentation was, you won't have to choose. Check this shit out.
Exactly. That was his whole. That was the whole promise from Mark Cerny.
One of his 3 pillars.
the big three. They called the big 3, right?
The big 3.
The
PSSR,
big 3. That's what it was.
The former Soviet Union was one. It's just when you show me this, and when you tell me before you show me, you're not going to have to make that decision anymore. Everything's basically going to be 4K 60 or 1080 60, but everything's going to be 60, and then maybe the graphics will be better. And then it's immediately not.
Yeah.
So,
do you think they put 8K on the box for this thing again and then take it off like they did with the PS5?
Yeah, well, everybody fucking loves 8K.
Because
right?
I have that. Maybe that's a rare thing. I've never looked it up. My box is the 8K symbol, and then they took it off. Like,
well, because your eyes can totally see it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, fuck off.
My biggest issue is you're going to put out this interim system, and there was a reason to do it with the PS4 Pro because we upgraded from 1080p to 4K TVs. That was a big thing at that time. But now there's no competition, and my biggest issue with it, outside of its price, is we're still, and sorry to you, Matt, we're still catering to PS4.
Right.
Which, like, for people like Matt, there's no reason for him to upgrade if he doesn't want to.
But that's the argument. We haven't even gotten away from the last generation of systems.
So how do we know that
buy into the next step up on this one?
How do we know that we fully tapped what's possible with this system?
We haven't.
We haven't let go of the last one.
The systems don't get fully tapped until like 6 years in.
Yeah.
Go back and look at an early PS2 game and a late PS2 game and tell me that they didn't figure something out. Like, the best example I've ever seen is like, go play Gran Turismo 3 and then play Gran Turismo 4, and you tell me that they didn't unlock some fucking something. Because Gran Turismo 3 looks like you're driving boxes on wheels after you play Gran Turismo 4. And not the same system.
360 would be a good example too, of like looking at early games versus the end.
Right. We're not even close to this.
No.
Yeah, I mean, that's been every system forever.
Right.
You know, hopefully you would think that people would figure it out, you know, better. Like even going back to NES games. Man, early NES games are unplayable now. And then the later ones are fantastic.
But at least with the PS4 Pro, it felt like I was buying a step up.
Well, also, they had a really good, compelling argument for you to buy it, which was, here's Horizon Zero Dawn, a new franchise, a new game, and it's going to play
far better on this. Yeah.
And that was convincing enough for me to buy that day one, even though that game didn't come out for like 5 months after it. So
I just bought the Spider-Man one of that, but that was it. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't know what I'm getting. Your presentation was not good. I know why you didn't just, because we're getting this the state of play soon. I know why you didn't put that stuff in this one, because you wanted this to be the focus. That was a mistake. It could have just been one whole thing. You could have shown all the games, did the 10-minute Cerny thing, and then he could have shown you an example of one of the games that just showed you running on a PS5 Pro.
Like Wolverine, if they're going to show that.
If they're going to show
that's
that.
the heavy rumored one for this showcase.
Yeah. So, I mean, this whole thing just seems like a pretty big fuck up because it's not going to sell well, right? I don't know a single person who said they want one.
They're saying that their analysts are predicting it'll sell as well as the PS4 Pro, which the PS4 Pro I think accounted for like between 10 to 13% of all PS4 sales. I mean, that wasn't a high number either in comparison, but I don't think it's going to sell that high either. I think it's going to be in the like 5-6%
for
range.
This price. I just don't get it. And then you see a lot of people trying to defend the price with like, oh, based on inflation rates and all that. Don't fuck with me. With inflation rates, dude. That means
get
nothing.
to that one. We'll get to that later in the news because there's a good thing about it.
Here's one other thing quick about the presentation, and then we can move on.
No, it
was 9 minutes, right? How much longer do you think it was before when a certain game no longer existed?
Concord?
Yeah. Do you think there was some time for Concord in that thing? Sony game.
Well, there had to be.
Maybe
recently
now,
released. That had to have been a focus in that presentation at some point.
It had to have been. I feel like there might have been something about it in there only because of some of the stuff we learned today, which we'll get to. But and it just released, and again, they were planning on that thing being a huge like Helldivers 2 level
10-year plan.
Oh yeah,
Destiny side.
And
I guarantee that presentation was probably originally 11
15.
minutes. I'm not going to say they're going to do 6 minutes on Concord.
Yeah, like 12 minutes.
Yeah, there was. I guarantee it was in there. I guarantee that was one of the little. Check this out, and then
maybe they showed you a new vignette of one of those characters.
Oh Lord, it would have been 20 minutes.
There you go. Yeah, it's the PS4 Pro. It's
PS5 Pro.
PS5 Pro. Yeah, I keep calling it PS4 Pro. That PS5 Pro, I just not a fan.
Man, just what an absolute dud. The minute it's over, every conversation was what just happened.
It was like I said, yeah, there are the typical, like you said, there are the typical like Sony shills out there that are trying to push him like, well, it's okay, but like it's few and far between.
Yeah.
Because I've seen even some of the hardest like Sony websites where like they're putting out articles like, I don't understand this.
Right.
Like this seems like what have they done? So, which I just laugh and go, well, now you see what it's like being an Xbox fan.
Right? Wow.
So,
yeah, and the thing that's frustrating about it though, and as someone who I'm primary Xbox myself, like I that is my go-to console for new shit for sure, is that like it's not like Xbox is now going to catch up. Like this is a stupid thing that Sony did. I think personally it's going to fail, but like, are people not going to play PlayStation anymore? No,
it's not going to hurt them like that. Yeah,
you know, like no one's leaving.
It's just going to be another like, goddamn, they did it again, kind of a thing. And
I mean, because like the PSVR is, I think, a failure.
Pretty much dead.
But does anyone care? Like
No.
In the grand scheme,
They just look at it as another Sony mistake, like the first VR or the PS TV or, all the weird one-off shit they try, and that's just like the Move controllers. PSP Go, which actually PSP Go was kind of cool.
it's kind of cool.
If it could have played every PSP game, it would have been cool,
Right,
but it
yeah.
couldn't. Like they try stuff. They're bad at trying stuff, but they try it.
I was going to say the only kind of thing I could see happening where anything would shift tides now would be if we get to these systems for the next generation. And let's say Microsoft goes first and they have a disk drive in their system, and Sony goes and says, we're not going to have a disk drive.
Disk drives are
digital
pluses. They're not minuses.
Yeah. I could see that being something where you'd see a mass revolt against one or the other. So
the Xbox, I'm telling you right now, for them to have a shot to stay around, the next thing has to be A, really fucking good, and B, it has to have fucking games. Like,
it has to have games, and I think if they're smart, my plan would be you have whatever your Series X like powerful console is for the main console, and instead of doing a Series S equivalent, because that's been a joke, make that the handheld.
Yeah.
Because you can say, well, here's this handheld thing that's a companion to the system.
Yeah.
You can and that's the key.
Download
games to it. Yeah.
Make a console and make the Portal, and the Portal can play games too.
Yeah,
without having to stream it.
Do very well for them, especially. Right. I mean, there is a consumer base out there who would buy the handheld and just get a Game Pass subscription. It'd be good.
Steam Decks have proven it works.
Yeah,
Asus ROG Allies have proven that people want this shit. Microsoft can easily make one, but
they can.
If there are no games for it, no one fucking cares. They shouldn't launch another system unless they've got 3 titles to go at launch.
They need to have at least 3 banger titles to start the generation with.
Right. And it needs a new Halo, which is always gonna, with the other one not being,
it doesn't matter if it's good.
At best.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's still a name. Have that. Have fucking Forza. Forza, so you can really show off the power, how it looks, and then Gears 6 or Bethesda.
Sync it up to launch
Elder Scrolls 6.
Elder Scrolls 6 in 2048.
I didn't put that article in here, but there was some. It wasn't Todd Howard, the one where he said, "There's no way we're going to live up to the hype around this game." Yeah,
that was basically to sum that article up. That guy was like, "We're fucked." The marketing team probably goes home and cries every day because they're fucked.
We're never going to live up to the hype for that game.
It's impossible to make whatever game people want that to be. And I think Starfield really proved that people should temper their fucking expectations.
They should.
You love it. I don't think it's a bad game, but I think it's a victim of Bethesda hype.
It's a victim of Bethesda hype, and it even being delayed as much as it was, it launched too soon.
Right.
If it would have launched 8 months later, great. Well, and this DLC is out I'm going to play the DLC. So, cause I bought the pass thing whenever they came out. So I'm going to play the DLC, which I think is the 30th, of this month. But all the previews for that DLC has been really strong.
Yeah.
They're saying the writing's really good. It feels like what Starfield should have been when it launched.
Whoa.
Weird.
Whoa.
And you saw that trailer. It's getting into spooky territory, and I'm a fan of that.
Some games just have to cook for a year to 3 years after they're out. No Man's Sky, Fallout.
No Man's Sky.
I maintain Fallout 76 is a very good game now. But if you were soured on it before, it's unlikely you're going to get in now.
Well, it helps when the game is given more than 11 days.
Yeah,
I will say that.
There's that too. Who knows what Concord could have been in 3 years?
Do you know if you look up the Steam charts, it still says there's 2 people playing it?
That's got to be devs or something that are still logged in. Those are devs that got fired and their work PCs are still logged into it.
There you go. Well, we can switch over to Microsoft and I'll put these two together here real quick. But Microsoft has already obviously not had the best year. I mean, they had a good E3, but then kind of backfired on it with some delays and stuff. But when this ABK deal went through, they fired almost 2,000 people, right? It was 1950. They have let go another 650 staff from their workforce. And from what I read, it's mostly ABK acquisition stuff.
Well, you knew that was going to happen once they finally got everything settled, because some people at these companies have the same job. And both of you aren't going to do the same job anymore. It's what mergers and acquisitions and stuff do to people.
It's really hard to I never want to make this sound like I'm not factoring in the people aspect of this, but from a company standpoint, they'd be stupid not to, because it's like you said, it's redundancy, and they spent $70 billion.
We got to cut something somewhere. It's going to be people.
It's part of it, and again, from the people standpoint, it really, really sucks, because they didn't have any say in who's buying them and what's happening and all that. But from the Microsoft standpoint, of course it's going to happen. I'm surprised it took this long.
Well, this is probably when stuff's finally starting to get figured out.
Well, on the flip side of that, and that's why I moved this up here to kind of keep all the Microsoft stuff together. I put this in here because the headline made me laugh. Microsoft employees don't even know what the current plan is. And this just goes back to are we still a console business? Are we a third party publisher now? It's gotten really weird.
A mobile phone game business.
We talked. Was it the last time I recorded? The time before when with the Indiana Jones, that happened at the Microsoft show at Gamescom. That wasn't a press release. They put that PlayStation logo at the end of that trailer in their showcase.
They put those
to announce that.
They put those 4 games out to test it. They seem to do pretty well. I think it's only going to ramp up, and I don't blame them for it. Fuck it.
And you and I have been on record to say, like, bring out the Master Chief Collection on PlayStation. I'll buy it.
Who's that hurt anymore? It doesn't hurt anybody anymore.
It's such a weird thing. I want it. I want to see it. I want to unlock trophies for Halo.
It immediately boosts player count on that in that game.
That's the other
on
reason.
Another system. Like, it wouldn't, like, I bet you if they release a game on PlayStation, people on Xbox playing it goes up.
Yep.
Because you're gonna have people playing it with their friends and stuff. Like, they're the Sega of the new generation. They just happen to still make a console.
That's kind of what it feels like right now.
And honestly, as much as you kind of want to have your console personality of like, I'm a PlayStation guy, I'm an Xbox guy, I'm a whatever guy. Like, I think from the Microsoft standpoint, like Xbox's point of view, that's what they should do. I think as much stuff as they can get on other things, they should do it. And they should also, if they can keep it low cost enough, have their own box too. Right. You know, like, I mean, it's basically what, you know, they've been in the PC business that way forever.
Or do the handheld thing. Or do, like, if Game Pass is the money, right? And we bought ABK to put it on Game Pass to get more Game Pass subscribers. If all of the money is Game Pass, then doesn't it just make sense for Game Pass to be able to be played on as many things as possible? And all of our games be played on as many things as possible. You can still make your own box. You know what? It's easiest to play our stuff on our boxes. It's all in one ecosystem. But if you have a PlayStation, we'll sell you a copy of this game for $70. What's the difference? There's no, and we're talking about porting Master Chief Collection, and realistically, they would just port the PC version of it. Like, it's
what's that from, like 2014, 2013,
from a long time ago. But you can't tell me that people wouldn't want to play that game on PlayStation right now.
Here's my odd question for you: does Indiana Jones and the Great Circle get a PS5 Pro patch?
I don't know anymore, because I was thinking about this.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know.
Think about this. So I now know that Indiana Jones is going to be on PlayStation 6 months later. Yeah, I'm going to know 6 months in advance if that game is good or not.
Oh yeah.
So what happens if the game comes out, and I think it will be good. What happens if it comes out and it's not good?
What if it comes out and it's the IGN 7?
Well, that just means it's a video game. That's all that means. But what if it comes out and its Metacritic is like a 55?
Yeah.
Then it doesn't. Then does it sell on PlayStation at all?
I think it'll still sell by name, but not as much as they want it to.
Yeah, it's just like, so that's another part of this kind of game they're playing now, where, well, we'll release our stuff on another console 6 months later. Well, gee, I sure hope it's good. Yeah. Because what if that was a plan for Starfield all along, right? We're gonna put it on Xbox right away, and then 6 months later, it's gonna be on PlayStation, guys. Don't worry. And then it comes out for Xbox. Everybody goes, "Oh shit!" And it doesn't sell for PlayStation. So now we're playing this exclusive. Is exclusivity even worth trying to do? You're banking on the game being good. Plus, the game would have to come out on Xbox anyway, but not be delayed.
I'm still clinging to like January 2025.
My Xbox, you know what though? It's my fault, because my Xbox backlog is so full that they did it for me. They delayed it for me.
No, that's a vow.
It's all games that they have.
You mean the game that was the other reason? Like obviously PS5 Pro pushed me into like, I'll probably build that new PC in the spring, but the other one was the Avowed announcement of it only running at 30 frames. So like, we're gonna do this again where you release it that way, and then in 6 months, hey, here's a patch where it runs at 60. Like, I don't know why they keep burying their head in the sand on that. So
Redfall, Starfield,
they got Starfield that runs at 60 on Series S.
Yeah,
it doesn't look very good,
but it couldn't run at 60 on an X at launch.
Yeah,
weird.
So very weird. This is a weird story. Annapurna, I don't know if you're familiar with the developer there. The developers behind Stray, some other games. Their entire staff walked out and quit And from what I'm reading, it sounds like it's over like some contract stuff, but so this team only had 25 members, but it sounds like it's over some contract disputes, but also somebody that used to work there that was hired back to be the president, I guess this team isn't a huge fan of. So from what I'm reading here, but it's just a weird thing. Like that entire team walked out and quit. It says like one of my girlfriend's favorite games the last couple of years is Stray. And I told her the other day, like, cause she said something. It was ironically like the same day I read this. She was like, "They're gonna make a Stray too," and I was just like, "Oh, I got some bad news.
Not anymore.
I don't think you're getting the Stray."
Well,
too.
allegedly, whatever the new game they were actively working on is still being made.
Yeah, it's a weird thing where, like, a lot of people left, but the other person who they had a problem with is still there. So things are going to continue. It's just the whole company's like, fucked up, because they also do other stuff. Like they do stuff for other companies.
Yeah, they see their name on like.
They were doing the Alan Wake too, like TV and film stuff. But apparently that's still going to go on. I think it's just going to it's all going to get restructured, and everything that's like in progress is just going to get delayed.
Yeah. It's a weird story though.
I think more businesses need to have mass walkouts where everyone quits at once.
Hell yeah.
It's not as effective if only one dude leaves,
right?
But if we all leave, I think that should happen. It should happen at Starbucks, Walmart, baseball teams should just refuse to go out. Everybody.
Imagine you pull up to a Walmart and it's closed, and it's because the entire fucking staff quit.
Is in the parking lot.
Wow.
Yeah. Everyone was just
a lot of people.
gone. Yeah.
There's like 10 people that work at Walmart now, guys. I don't know what we're talking about.
No, that's Target.
No,
that's Target.
There's plenty of people in Walmart pushing around the carts, blocking my aisle the whole time I'm shopping. Yeah. There's plenty of them.
But there's only one person that works self-checkout.
At least the Walmart that I go to are fulfilling the online orders. If you have like Walmart Plus, that's become a big part of Walmart now. So
it's huge.
Same thing with Target. We do more. There's just not a lot of Walmarts in Southern California.
Yeah,
it's just they're just not. But Target's the same way. You're always navigating around people doing the pickup orders constantly.
Absolutely. We alluded to it earlier, but Time Splitters 1, 2, and Future Perfect now have trophies, including platinums for each title. So
yeah,
it didn't take them very long.
No, and they're all not that bad. But again, it's the kind of thing where
they're not bad at all.
It didn't take them that long. Then why not just wait?
I don't know.
It was like 2 weeks.
Just waited to release the game 2 weeks.
Just wait 2 weeks to release it. Now it's like everybody bought it and played it. Now it's to do it again. Stupid.
Yeah. I put this story in here because I think it's funny. And I alluded to this earlier with the inflation bullshit. Jeff Keighley, everyone's favorite host of the Game Awards, and the harddrive.net, which is like the Onion for video games, had a little Twitter beef this past week where they went back and forth. It's pretty good. And basically how it started was Jeff Keighley put out the inflation tweet where he's like, adjusted for inflation, this is what PS1, 2, 3, he went through all of them would cost in 2024.
Yeah, which he kind of like picked and choose like versions and
stuff that fits his narrative.
Comparable.
Yeah.
Which prompted harddrive.net to put out their satirical article. Sony announces pro version of boots for Jeff Keighley to lick. Which I thought was funny.
That's fun. Yeah.
And then he had kind of commented on it and laughed, and then they responded back with a truck full of money picture. So it's a picture of a truck that just has a bunch of money in the back of it, and it simply says Jeff Keighley on his way home from PlayStation headquarters. To which he responded back and just posted like a whatever gif, and then they then posted like, did you forget to invoice them? And he posted another thing, and then he just kind of ended it. My favorite thing that they posted, the final exchange, I thought this was brilliant of them. Harddrive.net, after he had responded back to them, they responded back with the picture from the Game Awards where it has the little teleprompter that says "Please wrap it up." And that made me laugh really hard. And then he just responded, how original, love the site though. that kind of ended it. But
yeah,
they're going to roast him some more.
Yeah, I have no major beefs with Jeff Keighley. Like I
don't
know
either.
He's kind of silly, but like it's whatever. But this is a perfect example, and I see this with like comedy all the time. Jeff Keighley essentially is playing the role of a heckler in this.
Yeah.
You know, like even though he didn't quite start it per se, but he's basically in the role of the heckler, where like the people who do Hard Drive are professional comedy writers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jeff Keighley is not. And the way you don't have this exchange happen is you just kind of, even if you just want to laugh once, you stop responding.
Right.
Because they're going to be better. You're just only going to look dumb. Whether you're pissed or not, that's an entirely different thing. He's justified to be like, you assholes are doing this. But at a certain point, you got to like if you're heckling at my show, I am going to win. That's just what it is. Sure. Like I'm not good at many things, but I will win this exchange because my job is to make jokes at, like I can do that. Jeff Keighley just needed to like at the very beginning get his laugh emote in or whatever, and then just all right. We move on with our day.
You can get the initial response in on the pro bootlicking one because that's the best joke of the whole thing, but then drop it after that because
after that you have to move on because then it like it's not even that like number one he's getting beat. I think objectively he lost that exchange on every turn, and secondly, anyone who's now watching this is like, don't you have shit to do, Jeff Keighley? Like, what are you doing with your day? like, shouldn't you be planning the Game Awards or like, there's things you should actually actively be doing right now. Why are you messing with this and looking like an idiot?
And we don't have problems with Jeff. I mean, anybody who knows who Jeff Keighley is know that like his job is video game hype man. Like his job is.
That's a good way to describe it.
That's what his job is. He's gonna be positive about everything because that's his fucking brand.
Yeah. I mean, because the money is like he can't be negative because nobody's going to want to.
You think he's going to
spend money
piss
to
off Sony
show
when the Game Awards are in 3 months?
Yeah,
no
chance in hell.
With his one of his biggest supporters is no. He's gonna make the arguments for why everything is fine. That's fine, but he's the like I said, he's the hype man for the masses, not for the people who read the news like we do all the time and are the people who spend more money on this than most other people do and all that other kind of shit.
But it was a humorous exchange.
Yeah.
I talked about this earlier. So the other thing that I did go back and just briefly look at was Dragon's Dogma 2 because after this PlayStation event, they put out a huge patch. One of the things is they cleaned up performance of that game even more. And now, like I talked about the last time I talked about when they put out a patch is if you have a TV that has VRR and 120 frames support, you can run that game very well. It actually runs for me, it runs better than the PC version just because I have a 4070 now on my PC, but I have older CPU. So this patch cleaned it up even more, which is cool. So I don't know. I go back for I guess maybe the PS5 Pro when it comes out will do some bigger work for the game. But if you're going to do what they did here and unlock that, and again, not everybody has a TV that supports 120 hertz and does VRR. But if you do, and you unlock those kind of things, again, that's just another further what do I need a Pro for?
Right.
So, but I tried the patch. It works really well. So I just wanted to throw that in here. So as I continue to slowly get my way through that game, but Respawn is doing one final Jedi game in what they're now called a planned trilogy. It's not surprising.
No,
kind of figured after the second one, they'll probably do one more. They've been very successful. They've been I would argue some of the better Star Wars in the last decade. So in terms of story, so
they're cool
to see that they're
going to put on PS4, right?
Maybe. that was so that I think did I say that to you today, or maybe I was talking to somebody else earlier today, but that was my other argument of we've gone so far backwards that games like Jedi Survivor
are being ported backwards.
Did not sell well enough, and they, after saying we could only put this out on PS5 and Series X, they ported it backwards because that came out this past week for Xbox One and PS4. Copy. Yeah, there you go. Clock Tower Rewind is coming out October 29th. So that finally got a date. I think in other places it's on the 31st, so it's on Halloween. But here in the States,
it got moved up. Yeah,
this is digitally, of course. There was that limited run printing, but I mean, who knows when that comes out? I had to pay them my blood money for Castlevania. I saw that this past week.
Yeah, I had enjoy that in 2032 when they ship.
They fucked me on that because like I looked at it. I had to explain this to my girlfriend the other day because I'm like, you have to understand, like I pretty much own every Castlevania game except for a few. For them to come out with another physical, well, now I got to do it, but I got to do it through this. I got to jump in
quick about a limited run thing that pissed me off too.
Do it, go for it.
So they put out all this like Dreamcast stuff for the anniversary. It's all pretty cool looking stuff, and I'm like, wow, that'd be kind of neat. And they're like, oh, we're putting out trading cards for the Dreamcast anniversary. Okay, there's 200 of them. Okay, but you can only buy a hobby box which has 120 in it. You can't buy this. You cannot. There's no possible way to buy a full set out of the gate. They make you buy packs or hobby boxes or collector's boxes, so you're ripping packs to get doubles of shit. When all I really want, and they're selling like, oh, here's a binder, here's stuff to put it in. Just let me pay you for the set. Like this is fucked up. That's not how you celebrate the anniversary of something. Is to make limited trading cards, which I'm very likely never going to get a full set of through your awful site and your awful management. Like, fuck off. Stop. Companies need to stop licensing stuff to them, man. Like, come on. They're awful.
Yeah, they've become conceptually. I like the general concept of how they started. I love having physical versions of that kind of stuff. But for me, if there's anything I want from them, I will wait until Video Games Plus gets the stock of stuff. Right. So they're out of Canada, but it's the North America. I actually just got.
I bought stuff from them too. Yeah.
I don't know if I can reach it. This is going to be very. Damn it! I lost my headphones. 1 second.
Yeah, I bought stuff from these guys before too. They're pretty good.
The Video Games Plus.
Yeah.
This is where it hurts not having arms, everybody.
Oh, is this it?
I can't reach the.
That's the only drawback?
Yeah, it's the one thing. I got a career out of it. My wife doesn't seem to mind. She ties my shoes. Everything else is great. But I actually finally just got a copy of this through them that came in the mail today. The
Grandia things.
Cool. The Grandia ones. Yeah. So at this point, there's still stuff that I want from Limited Run. Yeah. On principle, I would rather pay a reseller $120 because, like for me, the last straw was when they did. They do these periodically where they'll do a sale of like, hey, we have all this extra stock on hand right now. We have it ready to ship. And I bought, I think it was Arcade Paradise for like $20 for Switch. 3 months later, they hadn't shipped it yet and kept telling me about how their new system will be better for shipping. And this is how it works. And I was like, cancel it. And I'm never buying shit from you guys again. like when you can't even get, like I understand, I'm empathetic to like, if they have this stuff and they're waiting for manufacturers to print the discs, if they don't physically have it, that's fine. But when you can't even ship the shit that you advertise the sale saying, hey, we got to get rid of this because it's in our warehouse right now. You can go fuck yourself.
I also hate the thing where they're like, check it out. We're going to do this collector's edition and it's going to look like this and we're going to have this in it. And here's the game and all this kind of stuff. But we really haven't finalized anything that's going to be in the collector's edition. So it's going to be like 2 years. And you're like, and everything's getting held up and we don't have the... What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't wish this very out. Like it's up there with GameStop, where it's a company that like I don't necessarily want to go out of business. I will not be sad if it happens. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, but if you've never looked at Video Games Plus site, Kyle, you should. It's good.
I will look into it.
It's good. It's good to help you find weird stuff that you think is like out of print. Because
they're out of Canada, you said?
Yeah, and they ship.
Out of Canada. So, it's the it's still the North American versions if that matters to you.
I got when the Xenoblade stuff for Switch, that Torna version was going crazy for a while.
Oh yeah,
it was like it was jumping to like 100, 120, whatever. I went on that. I found it on that website. Yeah, no, it's just regular price. You can just buy it here and we'll ship it to you.
Yeah, they get reprints. They have good connections and like they ship well. The prices are often a little
what
cheaper,
you expect
honestly.
them to be. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Like this was $66.
Yeah,
and I think on eBay it's going for
the Torna thing. The Torna thing right now is 60 Canadian, which is good because in America you can't fucking find that game. But I was like, man, I got to look for it now. And then, sure enough,
my breaking point was the Zombies Ate My Neighbors Collector's Edition behind me, where it's exactly what Dan said. We don't even know if this is finalized. It took almost 2 years for me to get that, with no updates, by the way.
Hey, you can pre-order the Canadian exclusive Yakuza game on there already right now.
Do I have to pay them in Canada dollars? Because I don't have any.
No, they convert it themselves. Welcome to the future, my friend. Yeah. Where they get you though is with that like $1.30 international credit card fee or whatever. That's where they milk you right there.
Hey, somehow that's cheaper than American credit card fees.
Yeah. It's true.
I briefly mentioned again. It very much seems like the Horizon remaster that we all grown about is real. Like I don't know if they just keep vying for like most unnecessary remaster this generation.
Like that one doesn't even bother me that much because it is a PS4 game remastered for PS5. But it's like we're talking like early pro version, so that's old.
Yeah.
If they were talking about like the Last of Us one where they already remastered it, that's fucked up. Like, no,
I know what you
this
mean.
one, I get it. It'll be $20 at some point. I'll probably grab it then because I did like that game. But
yeah, this is the type of thing, and I understand business wise why they don't do it. Like, if you're gonna remaster it, like I want to see a bundle with the other game,
right?
Too. Like sell it as like a complete set.
Why isn't it just like
they've done pretty decent with that for Uncharted. Like it's easy to get like.
Yeah. Here's the perfect thought. Here's a perfect thought. How about you release a package which is the first game remastered, the second game, and the DLC, and it's all one thing.
Yeah.
Weird.
Burning Shore. Or whatever.
Yeah, because like this remaster has got to have Frozen Wilds in it. Because if it doesn't, that's a crime. But
that would be weird for them to cut the DLC. I would
consider that a crime if that is not included, considering that DLC is years old. But why not just make it one package, the Horizon package?
Yeah,
because I agree with you. Like at this point, it kind of doesn't. Do you think we get a third one? I would imagine so.
Oh yeah, they're working. I'm sure Guerrilla Games has probably got their head down because again, like this remaster, I don't think they probably pulled that many people off that team to make a remaster. So I imagine they're very much head down on working on that. So because I think they even said after this one it was a planned trilogy of games. So and obviously Horizon Forbidden West sold very, very well.
It's a great game.
So this won't shock you at all, Dan, because we know this, but now it's official that both Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy 16 failed to meet the sales expectations.
You know how I know that? Because they're Square games. And nothing ever meets.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Like,
has the game ever met their expectations?
Yeah, when is the last game that actually was like, we're happy with how this sold?
Well, and the thing is I can tell you why they didn't meet its sales expectations. You want to know why? They're PS5 games.
Yeah.
Like 16 literally just PS5. Came out on PC.
Yeah.
Well, isn't there rumors here soon that it's supposed to be 16 supposed to be getting released or announced for Xbox as well?
The most recent rumor I saw is that maybe at TGS this next week it would be announced.
It
for
also
Xbox.
Seems like this might finally be the final straw for them to be like, we can't keep doing this one system only shit. Like we just can't, or we're going to be dead because the games that should sell for them are Final Fantasy games. Like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games should sell, and everything else they try, like Forspoken, is trash. So it should sell. But again, we're talking about like Rebirth is a PS5 only sequel. So that's automatically got to cut out anybody who didn't play the first one and people who don't have a PS5.
And it's also part of the Final Fantasy VII project, I guess we'll call it, which is already a weird thing.
Right.
Yeah. And some people like this is my mentality. Like I don't have Rebirth yet, But like, I'm someone who doesn't like to play full series if they're announced as full series until I can play all of them.
All of it, yeah.
Because if I really like it, that's how I watch TV series too. I never like to watch TV series that aren't done yet, because if I love it, I get mad that I can't finish it.
Right.
But if this is the case, if I love these games, 1, 2, 3, awesome. I can play them all. We're done. Great.
But yeah, nothing. I can't remember the last game they said met expectations. Maybe remake.
I can't either.
Maybe remake it.
Maybe.
But even then, that's PS4 only.
Yeah, but that was PS4 only at a time where how many PS4s
the PS4 had been sold?
110
people
million.
owned the system. But
so that game sold really well.
Yeah, so they're going to have to change their strategy. Like, stuff's going to have to be on everything. If Dragon Quest 12 should be out on PlayStation and PC the same day. It just should.
Yeah.
What's the argument against
I know it's not quite as big of a thing, but I know like Dragon Quest 3 remake. I have that pre-ordered for Xbox already. You know, so so like it seems like Xbox is working on a better relationship with Square.
They've been trying. They got Final Fantasy 14 like.
That was a huge deal.
That's an incredible get. Like,
yeah.
But they've tried in the past. They had 11 on there, but then they didn't get 12, and they did, but then they got 13, but they didn't get 14, but then they got 15, but they didn't get 16.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you have a relationship with these people or not? You got Dragon Quest, but it was a year later. Like none of this stuff.
In fairness, they got the good version of Dragon Quest.
They did. They got the complete version.
Once they did that,
but that's also a game where I liked it so much I just played it twice because it was worth playing it. But you know what I mean? Like, how are we only getting every odd Final Fantasy number at this point? They need to fix. That's another thing they need to fix when it comes to what are we going to do going forward. Relationships with Japanese game developers. They haven't gotten that right since the original Xbox at launch.
Yeah.
When they were able to get some of that stuff. But
they at least got a couple of banger games for 360. They didn't really sell well, but those like Blue Dragon and stuff like that are cool that they exist.
Yeah, we tried, and then it's like, well, these games aren't very good, and they didn't sell on our system, and maybe we shouldn't try. But
let that be a lesson to you, Bart. Never try.
Never try.
Pal World. It's finally getting that lawsuit from Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. Do you think this was just they needed to get all their ducks in a row?
They probably.
I mean, Nintendo. I don't think they're very litigious, but I think they're also litigious in a way where they kind of know what they're doing. It's not like when the companies, like when certain game developers get bad reviews and they threaten to sue. It's not like crazy. Nintendo kind of knows their shit. I bet they were just trying to like. Here is every single example of why this is this, and
I think
this
they
is
wanted
this,
to
and this
get
is this, and this, and
correct, and just nail everything down because they could have done this at the start.
You're not going to win a lawsuit on feel. We feel it's kind of like our thing, and we don't know. I think they're probably just really focusing hard on it, and they'll probably win. Honestly,
they'll win for sure.
They'll win.
They just won a different one against like a mobile game.
Well, that
was very.
The problem with that one is that one was fucking blatant, and they just stole assets. This one, it's like we copied a lot of stuff, but it's different. But we copied it, but it's different. It's one of those things where Nintendo's gonna win, but win what? Who knows? Pal World's already on its way out, as of right now. Anyway, it didn't hang around long enough.
Yeah.
They made their money, and as long as they don't have to pay too much, like they're just like, okay, we'll never sell it again. All right.
I think.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There'll be that. They'll have to change a lot of stuff in the game to the point where maybe it's just a different game. So who knows what's going to happen? But Pal World will probably disappear.
Ubisoft swears that X Defiant is not dead. Ubisoft's not doing good right now. I didn't even put any of the other stuff about Ubisoft in the news, but like their stock has been tanking. Star Wars Outlaws is not selling well at all. The early pre-order numbers for Assassin's Creed Shadows are not very good from what I've read.
No way.
And that's not even to get into like the controversy around that game or whatever, but like Ubisoft just as a whole they're not doing good. Like, I don't know if like we're getting close to a point where like maybe there'd be a buyout or something, but they're not doing good right now. I didn't even put the other thing I saw in here. I don't know if you saw about the stockholder that was calling for the head of Ubisoft to be fired. That CEO guy, the French guy. Like it's getting wild. So, but I mean, amidst all that, obviously, there's the developers of X Defiant are trying to say it's not dead. I can't imagine there's a lot of people playing that game because I think it's one of those where it came out, people went and they tried it, and then they just went back to their respective everyday games, be it Call of Duty, be it Fortnite, whatever. So, Overwatch,
Genshin Impact.
So, but I don't think I will say this. I don't think they'll Concord this game. So,
well, who could?
What could be?
Well, they've already been around for longer than 11 days, so it's impossible at this point.
I thought this was interesting. Like, we never get like proper numbers from Microsoft anymore about like consoles sold. But the latest estimation, well, we know why that is. But the latest estimations is that they are like combined Series X and S is under half of what PS5 has sold this entire generation. Yeah. Which again, I don't think is surprising anyone.
I think anyone, if you asked anyone who had any idea, they would have said that even seems a little high.
So
I think what's always most frustrating about this is just because like how the narrative's been spun is like that's still pretty successful in a vacuum. Like it is, you know, like it's not a complete like they're not failure.
Doing bad, yeah, like that's,
you know, like, but they're just like being always compared against like, you know, like PlayStation's just a juggernaut. And maybe he shouldn't have said this during an interview, but I think Phil Spencer was right on. Like now that everyone's libraries carry on, like it would have to take something so, you know, like half of every dollar spent on a PlayStation goes directly to, you know, making Hitler alive again. Like it would have to be something so crazy for people to leave. You know, and just like it is what it is. Like I mean, that's a big reason I had that sunk cost fallacy with Xbox.
We used to
spend a lot of money and have a big library,
and that's something we used to see. You know, as retail workers, constantly like people swapping back and forth because
the Xbox One, even that like PS4, Xbox One, even though it was, I mean, there was a clear like when we had those announced we could reserve them. It was very clear. PS4 was doing much better, but you would still have those couple people that would come in like weekly and change their minds
because it was very game dependent back then. Like if you wanted to play this game, it was Xbox only. That was the only fucking choice. Yeah, and you had to come in and get that, and then you would have people go back and forth. But these days, with so many things are multi-platform and everything's digital, and your PS4 stuff works on your PS5, and you know your Xbox plays fucking everything.
I can play OG Xbox on my.
I should be able to put a Dreamcast game in there. How about that? That'd be fucking rad if I could put a Dreamcast game in there. Hey, Dreamcast was just a fucking emulation system in a box.
Hey, anyway. there was a while where I could use that developer mode and use that one emulator until they shut that down.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
But yeah, like it's not surprising that PlayStation has sold more and it's just going to continue to sell more. We talked about it earlier. Like Xbox is. They've made hardware mistakes again. If they hadn't done this Series S bullshit, and they would have just said our next system is a Series X, and they would have named it something that wasn't fucking confusing, it would have been fun.
You wouldn't have seen some of these other issues like the whole situation with Baldur's Gate 3. That's why that was held up.
Delayed because we can't make it for your worst console.
Black Myth Wukong is being delayed because Series S problems.
Right.
So
they should have realized that early on, and they should have cut it.
I agree. I'd skip it ahead because that one's for an email. Silent Hill 2 remake is out in a couple weeks, which I'm begrudgingly buying that and playing it on day one because I have to.
That one snuck up on me. That one very much snuck up on me because like I remember it kind of being, you know, when it first was like rumored, like, oh, that's cool, they're remaking this, and then I barely heard shit about it since then.
Part of it is because the last time they showed it, it didn't show very well, and people just kind of complained about it, and they went underground for a long time. And then they came back up like, okay, it's out in October, and it's like, oh, I guess I have to care about this.
The guy who bought Alone in the Dark is begrudgingly buying Silent Hill.
Hey, I got Alone in the Dark for like $7. If you're talking about the most recent one, that wasn't a bad deal. It wasn't a good game, but I can't argue for $7.
You can make an argument.
Which I'm going to argue for 70.
you can and will.
Yeah, I think you did.
They have put out the console exclusivity is for a year, so it will not come to Xbox for a full year. Which means
no one gives a shit about that game on Xbox.
The smart move for Microsoft here would be because they have a good relationship with that Bloober team who's making this.
Because they made Medium for them first. Medium.
Exactly. So when it comes out in a year, put it on Game Pass day one. There's your answer.
Why are we still arguing about this bullshit exclusivity shit in 2024? Why is it still a fucking problem?
Because I don't want my Xbox games on my PlayStation.
They can't possibly be paying these people enough money to sway them to put Silent Hill 2 on PlayStation for a year first.
But here's the thing: it is on PC as well, so like, it will sell at long. It's not like it's PS5 only. But then if you're doing
that, then who the fuck cares?
Yeah,
you're talking about Square. We don't know why we're missing. Why are we missing sales targets? Maybe it's because you put in some bullshit exclusivity on FF7 Remake that still isn't on Xbox, and that game was on PS4. What are you doing? Unless you're for some reason holding this until the third one comes out, and you're going to bundle this whole fucking thing together for $150 and sell it on Xbox in 3 years.
I would don't get it out of that. I am the market for that.
Listen. I'll tell you right now. If they put out a bundle for all three of them when the third one comes out, I'll just fucking buy that. Even though I already own these other two.
They should just call it Final Fantasy VII Remake Complete is what it should be called.
Reunion.
Well, that Reunion's going to be the name of the third game now.
Regurgitated. So. Whatever you want to call it. Who cares?
Yeah, that's the last one, yeah.
Reinvigorated.
Yeah. Finally, for some good and surprising news. This is probably my favorite announcement of news. This is good video game news.
It's unheard of.
We were teased, I don't know, like 6 months ago that no one would be able to guess what the direction for the next Yakuza or Like a Dragon game is going to be.
Insane.
And I totally forgot about it and woke up this morning. And as I do every morning, before I get ready for work, I put on YouTube. And the first thing that popped up on my feed was a trailer for Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Amazing.
Which is the next Like a Dragon game. It's not it's a spinoff, right? Because it stars
Majima.
Majima. But yeah, I watched it. It's a fantastic trailer. It's set in Hawaii. He just kind of washes up on shore like Ichiban on a different island and is thrust into this whole
he gets a ship. He's a fucking pirate
insane world with pirates. Samoa Joe's in the game.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, what is happening? This is
great.
This is a spin-off of a spin-off, and it somehow looks like
it seems like incredible. It's going to have ship combat.
This is
it's going to be a better Skull and Bones.
It's immediately better than Skull and Bones. I don't have to play a minute of this game to know that it's better game than Skull and Bones.
And we both played it now.
Which I played for 2 hours.
Yeah. I would have never guessed this, and I was extreme. All in the minute I saw the title.
Especially because there was a couple things coming out like the past couple days where it was like, it looks like it might be a mobile game, which would just be disappointing.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, Yakuza mobile game could be kind of fun depending on what it is. Fuck it. It's fucking a pirate game in Hawaii present day.
I could not tell in the trailer. Is it going with like the brawling combat or is it RPG?
It's action based.
It is action based. Okay. That's what it kind of seemed like that, but it was hard to tell in the trailer. Yeah. But fantastic direction.
So this is a spin-off of an RPG, which is a spin-off of an action based brawler game, which has been running, since the PS2.
Yeah,
they've completely lost. Like, if you go back and you look at like original Yakuza games, like 1 and 2, even up to like 3 and 4, like they're pretty standard. They're fairly standard, like gritty type, Yakuza level games. And then they start spinning it off where they make
like the mini game stuff. Yeah, was like the main stuff that was a little like
kind of like silly. You play UFO catcher stuff, but it was to break up like the seriousness of the game. And then they decide, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna spin that stuff off into a game called Judgment. And then that's going to be its own thing where you're like a detective and do this. But then we're going to break it off the other way where we make it a Dragon Quest RPG with this other guy. And then we're going to spin that one off another way where this is now a pirate game where you have like, you're on boats and stuff. And like, what is happening? Like, this company has lost it in the best possible way.
In the best possible way, yeah. That's the thing. I didn't see a single like tweet or anybody negative on this.
No, how could
all
you be?
positive? Like, you do whatever you want.
It comes from a developer that does whatever the fuck they want, and they do it well every time.
Every time.
They're all good, and they all tie together in weird ways. And like, damn
some
well,
of the best written.
Damn well, each
games.
one is going to show up in this game as like a pirate.
He's a pre-order bonus.
Yeah.
Like, there's an outfit for him or something I saw.
Like all these characters are going to cross over.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's going to be crazy as hell, and who cares? It's awesome. It's so good.
It has a date, February 28th.
That's the greatest part about this company is they can put this stuff out because these games are so different. They can have different people making them and like put one out every year, and they just announce it like 5 months before it's about to come out.
I will say, like they clearly are reusing some of the assets in this game. Like they show, a big portion of that Hawaiian island from the last game. So like that makes sense, but
that's okay to do because the gameplay is so different. And like, and that's how Judgment and everything gets away with it is because those games, while they're set in the same towns, they're incredibly different games.
Yeah, and maybe this is an unpopular take based on like the general internet discourse.
Yeah.
But man, as long as the game is fun, I could give a shit if you borrow assets from your old game.
No, I don't either.
Who gives two shits? If you made the assets, keep using the assets.
Why not?
As long as the game's
so different
fun.
than using the engine. The assets are built.
Yeah,
and they make good, fun games every time.
Do. So that was
the only one you could argue
was
maybe a miss is Inshin, and that's just because it's a weirder take on the franchise. But again, that's another offshoot of the main game, which is now a Dragon Quest RPG. So who the fuck even?
Because did they do two offshoots and then it was Infinite Wealth?
Yeah, because they had the other Kiryu game, which was digital. Man Who Erased His Name.
Man Who's Erased.
But you think of that one is almost more like a glorified expansion story thing to the game. But again,
they give you in Infinite Wealth. They give you that story in Infinite Wealth through cutscenes. So, but what a fantastic thing to wake up to, though, because I was like, "What is it like?" Man, I realized this is the new Yakuza game, and I watched the trailer. Like, all right, man, I'm all in. We'll finally end all of this news with everyone's favorite Concord, which it came out today that Concord allegedly has cost Sony upwards of $400 million when everything is all said and done. Again, and this is not including whatever they paid to buy the studio.
I told you before, earlier today, like this number is getting so comically large, I don't even know if I believe it anymore. because then you also told me you're like, well, now it's maybe 600, and I'm like, all right, hang on a minute.
That was what somebody said. If you combine how much it costs to buy the studio. I don't even care. Nobody in their
right fucking mind spends $600 million
Sony
on a video game.
Yeah, when you have that hubris to think that you're untouchable.
My God, Herman Hulst is a psychopath if this is true. Because apparently
they were looking at this as the future of PlayStation was the tagline I saw in the article.
Yeah, it was their Star Wars is what people were saying.
That was the thing. Yeah,
listen, dude, there's only one thing that's Star Wars, and it's fucking Star Wars. And I got I got a bad news for you. If you like Star Wars, it isn't in the best place right now.
No, it's not.
So if you want this to be your Star Wars, whoa. And also, if you wanted it to be Star Wars, you made Guardians of the Galaxy on accident.
Yeah, exactly.
And you made a bad version of it.
Like
400 million. That number seems. GTA 5 cost 260.
That was also 10 years ago.
Even
but
still.
But
that's about what that is now.
Adjusted for inflation. Now.
What is I need to know. But even still, let's say that number is more now than Concord's 400 million. That game is GTA 5. This game is a hero shooter.
How much money is GTA 5 made in comparison to how much it costs? Exactly.
It's the most successful anything ever.
Yeah.
Like not just game, anything.
I saw, the only thing, like, I want to say Black Myth Wukong beat its like record for best-selling game in like 3 days or something, because that game did astronomical. But
GTA 6 is about to
GTA 6 is going to reclaim that, and
it will be a short-lived record.
That's going to outsell consoles somehow. I told you, I said the only way I could see like 600 million being a real number is if your buddy Herman got 100 million consulting fee check or something. It's like something has to be going on. There's no way. And yes, it took 8 years to make and all this stuff, but it didn't cost them 50 million year one and 50 million year two. That's not how it works. And like the market, you could argue the marketing, but there wasn't even that much marketing for it, because the big marketing for it was the 20-minute presentation video they did a month before it came out.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, I get that they put a lot of money. I said the only other thing I would explain is if each vignette cost $20 million to make. But this is a catastrophic failure at almost every level. For it to be that high of a number. And the thing I thought was funny too was they were saying it's a Bungie-like environment where nobody was allowed to say that the game was bad in any way, which clearly, because someone would have had to come up and be like, hey, just a thought.
I don't think this is gonna work.
Like, someone had to
I feel bad for the devs sometimes. Like, they gotta know. They gotta know.
Absolutely. There are clearly people on this team that knew, but they're
not stupid.
I've known, I know some people who are in that kind of work, and yes, they do know that this is not working. It's not good, and it probably should be. I mean, I don't think a lot of people ever really know like how many things actually get like canceled in multiple points before they're even announced, and all that stuff that goes down. Like I've play tested stuff that never existed past a certain point. But this is crazy. Multiple people signed off and said, we're ready to go. They produced most of their state of play based around this game.
They put it out.
This is the kind of game where it should have been announced with that state of play thing 6 months earlier. They should have had multiple beta test points and gotten tons of feedback and let the game cook and then release it in beta and then let it and worked on it from there. But they just went so full all in before it was even shown to people.
Well, remember, even the betas, like the numbers, which were higher than the actual release, but still, like, they were abysmal.
But that's because it was announced a couple weeks before as a hero shooter. Nobody knew what it was. It could have been anything. If you had said from that little spaceship trailer thing they showed a year before, it's a hero shooter or something, at least people's expectations can't be fucking destroyed after they watch your sweet little cutscene of a heist video that turns into a hero shooter.
Yeah.
You talk about like the Bethesda marketing team not knowing how they're going to live up to ES6. This marketing team must have shit their pants after that first thing happened.
They must have.
Because it like comes out and immediately everybody hates it and they go, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We messed this up bad. And your buddy...
I think I told you, they're still going to air that Amazon episode because it's already done. It's going to be interesting.
Who's watching that?
I don't know. Was this show called like Secret Level or something?
Yeah, I think everyone watches it now just out of morbid curiosity, right?
Yeah. Probably.
What if that's the turning point? Everybody goes, oh man, that's what Concord was. Oh,
they should bring it back
now. Oh man. So speaking of bringing it back, you and I had talked about like maybe it comes back in 6 months as a free to play thing. No, dude, he left. It's over.
Yeah, that was the other thing. But like the head of the studio is gone. The rest of the staff is just kind of waiting to see what they're going to do, which my assumption is like there'll be some layoffs and then other people are going to be divvied up to different studios.
Absorbed.
PlayStation.
Yeah. You all work for Bungie now. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Once
maybe I should get a PS5 Pro for Concord.
There you go.
Hey man, Mark Cerny had 3 minutes he had to cut. I'm telling you. But look at the hair on this character now and after. Yeah, I just think that there was a shot. It came back as a free to play thing, and they just said fuck it and let it run and didn't work on it with him gone and where it is now. And as this more stuff comes out, it's toasted.
It's done. Yeah,
never comes back.
No.
Which is incredible. I think it's incredible. I think, again, I'm not happy that all these people, because I know there are people there who knew that this thing was doomed and are getting fired even though they knew.
Yeah,
but it's kind of incredible to watch.
It just, again, like there's never been anything at this level this fast.
No.
Where it's been like, okay, we gave this thing 2 weeks and just we're done.
I'm going to look it up because I know I told you last time that APB game for PC was like that.
Yeah,
where
I don't think it was 2 weeks.
It got pulled really quick.
But
that eventually came out.
I have a copy of it.
I just feel like this game, I think, was going to be a failure one way or the other. I'm honestly shocked. Just like after 11 days, you figured they would try to like milk whatever they could for, get some people to buy some physical copies of the game, like with the we're going to keep doing updates. Basically do all that kind of bullshit. Just like for them to pull the plug. That I'm surprised they didn't try to just ride it for a year, knowing it was going to die. But let's see what we can milk up.
I think that's what a lot of people thought was that, well, they'll ride it for 6 months a year and it'll just be kind of the laughing stock of
we thought it would at least get to like the first seasonal content rollout.
Yeah.
Like you'd at least make it to there and then hope that would be enough to drive people to come play it.
I subscribe to the idea that we were going to get to about January, February, and it'd be a PlayStation Plus game. And that would be the last like big push of like, all right, well, it's out on Plus. Here's season 2's content. And now everybody that has Plus can play it. So, but now 11 days, it's out, it's gone, it's over. So just what a crazy thing. So you trying to still look up and see if there's
APB,
any.
It released in June 29th in 2010, but the online servers were shut down the same year.
Okay.
And then it got I remember now it got reloaded in 2015. It came back, but it wasn't, quite the same thing. But I just remember we got a memo at work that was like, this game's getting shut off. You just need to pull all copies off the shelf. And it was like, that just came out. And
that's so weird.
Yeah, I have a copy of it somewhere.
Wasn't it there was something relatively recently that died real fast. I think it wasn't like the Culling 2, the sequel for that, like down week of. Basically, I can't remember the exact.
There was that.
Like that
Marvel Heroes on console died within a year because the whole
bummer, though.
That was a fucking real bummer. But
that wasn't because it was a bad game. That was because they were going to make
up licensing
the
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So this is according to the Wikipedia for it. The Culling 2 was released on July 10th, 2018 for Windows, PS4, Xbox One. Game was criticized for basically being unfinished. So July 10th, 2018. On July 18th, 2018, they decided to pull Culling 2 from storefronts, close down its servers, and refund all purchases.
Damn.
So 8 days.
That reminds me, there was another game that did that too a couple years ago. But the thing is none of these games were Concord
level of money invested.
Sony pumping it like these are all.
This is a Sony first party.
Well, the thing is we're talking about this like Concord is a bad game. It is not technically like it was fine. A bad game.
Yeah.
It worked. Everything I watched, it plays fine, no bugs. It just seemed boring. Like, if you want a game like that, they already exist.
Well, and like you said, I mean, right now there's just so many of them, and the ones that are already out have such a big following. It's like Dead by Daylight. Like you just, if you're going to put out a game in that mannerism, just don't do it. Make it something completely different.
And I've said that every time, like Friday the 13th,
Killer Clowns,
Evil Dead game, now Killer Clowns, which I still would like to play, but not at $40. I'll play it when it's like 20, maybe 15. But why do that when you already have a game that has all those other characters in it and just put that character in it? Yeah. So. But that's the reason I've said many times I can't get into Dead by Daylight because it's so far gone for someone like me to get into it now.
I forgot this was I saw this the other day and I don't think I ever mentioned it. No, I don't remember the other one. But this is something else I saw the other day and I laughed. Where the perfect comparison to what Concord was.
Okay.
Brink.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Remember Brink?
All right. Yeah, I do.
Where Brink, before it came out, everybody was like, "Oh, what is this game? Looks like it could be cool. Could be like a co-op. No, it's just like an arena shooter thing, and it's not good."
There's not many
And
people
then
playing
nobody
it.
played it, and then it was pretty much dead almost immediately.
The other one I thought of since you said that
Brink
was
2.
it lasted longer than any of these, but Battleborn.
Yeah,
Right.
Remember Battleborn?
Yeah.
that was bad.
Yeah. Battleborn was
beta.
basically what Wish
Wish
Overwatch.
Yeah,
or
basically.
Overwatch.
Hey, I've got a little figure of that mushroom guy somewhere.
I was gonna say I remember trying to play as the mushroom guy in the beta.
I have a little figure of him somewhere.
No, that's Super Mario Brothers is what you're
Oh
thinking.
shit,
That's
you're right.
That's a different game. You're
That's
way
a
off.
different game. Way off.
Fucking
But man,
Brink,
Concord,
Brink 2.
what a wild story. So
Yeah, it makes me feel better about any bad investments I might make.
Remember that day before game technically was out for like a month.
oh god,
Remember
I totally
that game?
forgot about that. Was a disaster.
Babylon.
That was all.
I
That
found
all
a
got
list.
confirmed was like a scam.
Yeah,
So
I found a
remember
list.
that guy ran away with
Babylon's
that money.
Fall didn't even make it a year.
Yeah,
Hmm.
You played
Lawbreakers,
that.
remember that? That was like a
yeah.
year.
shockingly failure. Yeah,
There's your Culling 2. Paragon made it a while. Anthem, that's another classic.
That
yeah.
was a good one.
Marvel's Avengers, like these are too long, but like Evolve made it 3 years. That's a long.
Those
time.
are too far. Yeah, I'm looking at like the maybe at most a year.
Radical
timeline.
Heights. I barely remember that game.
I barely remember that.
I've never even heard of that.
That was in
That sounds
2018.
fake.
I was in
That sounds-
2018.
you're
It made it
just
in a
saying-
month.
You're just saying words
Yeah.
right now, and
There's one I don't remember. Crucible.
Sounds familiar.
I don't remember
Yeah.
that at all.
I don't either.
But Babylon's Fall, I do have the platinum in.
good too.
Yeah,
Somebody
I remember
had
that.
Yeah,
Somebody had
like some of these things you're saying. My wife, her family trolled my brother-in-law for years by coming up with a fake restaurant called TJ Rummy's.
That totally sounds real.
That they always talked about, like, oh, it was our favorite restaurant, girl. We used to always go to TJ Rummy's and all that, and they like gaslit him for years to think like it was a real place. So he kind of
great.
played along.
It's
That's what
fantastic.
you're doing to me with some of those titles you just mentioned. Like that's
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
yeah. I mean, none of the titles I just read you were real. That was all a
yeah,
test.
that's all made up. It sounds like one of those like quizzes you would do. Which one was the real turn of the
Yeah.
century baseball player? And then you just name a bunch
Old
of fucking
Sox
bullshit.
Radborn. Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
Tugboat Swanson.
God, that sounds real.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can kick over real quick to briefly to movies and TV and stuff before we get to emails. You don't have anything this week, Dan?
I don't. You know what?
Damn.
I've been stuck on rewatching TV shows, so nothing's been
Okay.
interesting. It's all the same shit.
Have you finished Coach so I can rewatch
Yes,
Coach?
I'm done with Coach. You can watch
Okay,
Coach.
I can rewatch Coach.
My
now.
kids
Thank
reminded me the other day that it's probably time to start Home Improvement again.
There you go.
They're on the cycle with me, so that's next to be started.
What is Home Improvement on? What's it?
Hulu, I want to say.
Arlo?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it
you can
is
watch
on.
the whole thing straight.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and interject here because that reminds me. Because I watch old shows now at this point. Because like
Yeah.
I said earlier, I like watching shit that's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which is why I'm pissed that Ted Lasso got announced for a 4th season. I was done, damn
Yeah.
it. I
watched
done.
all of that in like 3 days,
Yeah.
not even that 3 days, but like a week, and I was like, that show's really good, and I'm glad
Yeah.
the story's over. And I'm like, season
Yeah,
4, I'm
I
like,
don't know.
no, I don't need season.
But so I'm redoing a rewatch of The Simpsons, which I know
okay.
technically is not done, but there's so much
long
to
enough.
watch.
so much,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
long
Yeah.
enough.
And
never
then I'm
gonna
also
finish that.
I'm on season 4 of The Golden Girls.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Ooh.
I did that
It's-
not too long ago.
It's dope. That show is so it's ahead of its
so
time,
good.
a lot of its stuff.
Yes, it
and
is.
it's so funny.
No, that's good. Yeah, I do that a lot of time with older shows too. I've been trying to do that again, but every night that I try to watch an episode, I fall asleep. Murder She Wrote.
That's a
Trying to
great
do that
show.
one again for older.
Kyle,
for older
what you need to
stuff.
do is you need to watch original Matlock so you can watch new Matlock.
I don't want to watch
new Matlock. Kathy Bates.
Can we talk about
Kathy Bates?
No,
everything except for the one. Yeah, except for was it about Schmitz where she gets out of the hot tub naked? I'll watch Kathy Bates and everything. But
I told Kyle, fuck this new Matlock show because there's a line in the thing where she goes, "My name's Matlock, like the TV show," and I said, "Fuck you."
Yeah, that
no. You're either Matlock or you're not. Like, this is awful.
That's not. I can't do that.
So, I don't need meta Matlock with Kathy Bates. Okay, like,
no.
If it was metal Matlock,
okay,
where
that's
she was
different.
where she was a mech,
yeah,
I would watch that.
Scanning.
There you go. The only thing on here I've not watched yet. It started yesterday. I watched this weekend. I'll talk about it next week. Is Frasier is back for season 2. You know I'm going to watch that. I think they put up the first 2 episodes, so I'll have stuff to say about that next week. So the only things that I watched the movie Cuckoo, which I've been waiting for. I thought it looked pretty cool. It just came out on digital this past week. Stars Hunter Schafer. Pretty solid movie. Okay. In fact, it's not even too violent. Like, you'd probably be okay watching it, Dan. It's not really that violent. I wouldn't even say it. Like, I guess it's kind of creepy at times. But she, like, it's okay. So she is with her family and they're going to this, like, her family is moving to Germany at like a resort where her dad is like an architect that's working on building this new portion of this resort. And her mom, I believe, her mom and her dad are separated. Her dad has a new wife, and then they have another kid. I believe the kid is adopted, but they have a younger kid, a younger daughter, and she's stuck with them because the mother just recently passed. So she had to move back in with the dad, and then now all of a sudden they're moving to Germany. And so they get there. Things are already like kind of weirdly off. She's, an angsty teen. She doesn't want to be there anyways. The first thing is you meet, I can't think of the guy. I think the actor's name is Dan Stevens. He's been in a couple weird things this year. Fantastic actor in this movie. Really creepy, really weird. He has a weird, like, he does his German accent very well since it's set in Germany, but he's a very weird character in this movie. He's obviously, you can tell right away he's the villain. That's not, I mean, they show that in the trailers. So, but the whole thing is set around, there's a weird experiment going on in this resort. And that's what the resort's actually like set up to be. And it gets really weird around that. Like, there's some weird shit starts happening. She takes on a job because she's bored to be like an overnight, like the overnight person that's in charge of like bringing people in, and weird things start happening. She starts seeing weird shit. Like, weird things start happening around there. One night she's told by that Dan Stevens character, the bad guy, like, she goes like, oh, he's like, well, I don't want you to work too late. I'll come pick you up and take you home. And she's like, no, I brought my bike. I'll ride my bike. I don't want you to ride your bike at night because, it's not good out here. Of course, being the angsty teen that she is fuck that. I'm going to ride my bike. Rides out and starts getting chased by this weird, like, person that looks kind of off. Like, it's the kind of thing where she has her headphones on. She's not really paying attention. She's riding. It's the middle of the night. You can see, like, it's like a top-down shot where you can see her riding her bike. And then behind her, all of a sudden, you can hear someone running to try and, like, chase her. And you can see the shadow of the person behind her trying to catch up. She kind of sees it, like, out of the corner of her eye, realizes that someone is chasing her. And then she kind of, like, deviates, goes to this other part of this resort, barely makes it into this, like, lobby area, and then ends up something happens. She hits her head and she gets knocked out, gets stitches on her head. And then it slowly, because of her injuries, she then, decides, being the angsty teen that she is, I want to get out of here. I don't want to be here as part of this. She wants to go home because she still thinks that her house is there, even though her mom passed. So she meets another girl that comes in that's like a musician that's a few years older than her, and they kind of connect and they try to leave. She goes, okay, I'm going to leave with you. We're going to go to Paris. And so she leaves a note and everything. They go drive, and as they're driving away and like they get away from this resort, everything, they get in a car crash. And then all of a sudden she's back in the hospital now. And obviously her parents are pissed off that she was going to run away. And then because of her injuries for the rest of this movie, she's kind of limited on what she can do. And that's when she really finds out like what's really going on here, which I won't spoil, but it gets really weird really fast.
So that's how she goes cuckoo.
It gets real weird. I will say the reason it's called cuckoo is because the experiment has something to do with birds. That's all I'll tell you.
That makes sense.
In a very kind of fucked up way. So, but I didn't think it was particularly scary. But I enjoyed it. I think the performances are good, and it has a good it's a good throwback to like 70s horror, I thought. So
okay.
I enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10 is what I put.
I'm gonna try to watch that.
Yeah, you should watch it. I think you'll like it, especially. The only other thing I watched in the past 2 weeks that's new is I watched last night. I insisted last night I watched the first episode of The Penguin. I've been waiting for it all year. I was curious to see like what are they going to do? Because like at this point, with whatever's going on with Matt Reeves' Batman, I mean, obviously we're going to get this sequel, but I think that's going to be it. I don't think he's going to make a trilogy. I was curious though, like how is this going to live up? Being it's on HBO, is it going to be an HBO show? Is it going to be a little less HBO-y because it's, based on DC? No. First thing I'll say is this is not a kid show. There were like Soprano level F-bombs being dropped. Like it's the kind of thing, it's jarring because like coming off of the Batman, you like there's language in that movie, but like nobody's saying fuck in that movie. And in the first 5 minutes, like you got Colin Farrell as the Penguin saying fuck every 2 sentences. And I'm like, oh, this is an HBO show. And it is an HBO show. It's violent, a lot of language. It's very mafia focused. It's also darkly funny. So I don't think this is really a spoiler because it's in the trailer, but like something happens in the beginning that kind of sets up as the catalyst for what the show is going to be. And because of a circumstance, Penguin, played by Colin Farrell, brilliantly by Colin Farrell. It's ridiculous how good he is in this suit that he has to wear. It doesn't even look or sound like him.
That apparently he hated, by the way.
Yeah, now I laughed because after the Batman, he talked about how he loved playing the character so much. And I'm like, yeah, because you were in the suit for 5 minutes. And then now this show, he's like, oh, now I hate it. Yeah. So, but I mean, obviously he'll come back for this Batman sequel because the whole point of it is to set up him taking over Gotham. But it's funny because in the beginning of the show, he gets caught up with this like inner city kid that basically becomes like his assistant through happenstance. And there's a lot of fun and dark humor between them two throughout the episode that works very, very well. So I went into it thinking like, and I kept telling my girlfriend, obviously my girlfriend also a huge Batman fan. I kept telling her when we were getting around, I'm like, I want you to realize like this isn't gonna like Batman's first of all is not showing up on this show. So you like don't be preparing for that. But I told her, I'm like, you need to prepare, like this is gonna be like mafia, which I'm super into. I love the Sopranos, I like all that shit, but I'm like, I don't know if you're gonna like it. But I think there's enough humor in it, and she ended up enjoying the first episode. So but yeah, there's no, they mentioned Batman. It takes place immediately after the last movie, so like all the events of what happened at the end with the bomb going off and the flood of half the town, that's all referenced, and they show you in the beginning of the show. So it takes place 2 weeks after the movie. So I love the first episode. I don't know if the whole 8 episode miniseries is going to be as good as the first episode, but I came off of it as a huge biased Batman fan, really enjoying it. So, but it could have there's many ways in which it could have gone south. So, but I enjoyed it. It's definitely worth watching. As far as like for people that haven't seen that Batman movie, I mean, you could watch this because they do tell you what happened, but I don't know if you get as much out of it without having at least seen that movie at least once. Okay. So, that wraps up for me. Like I said, I'll talk about Frasier next time we record. And then next time we record, I'll get to talk about the Joker Folie à Deux because I'm going to go see that when I buy tickets, which I give you the update every day, Dan. I don't know I'll mention this to you too, Ryan. I don't know how much of a fan you are of like going to movies frequently or not, but I have watched every day since the reviews came out for Joker 2 because I need to buy tickets to go see it. Every day I go check the same showtime at the same theater. Not a single ticket has sold yet.
Really, not
and
one.
I haven't bought tickets out of principle because I'm like, all right, as first time I open this up and I see like 2 seats are sold, I'll buy tickets because I want the best seats I can get. But out of principle, every day I look at it, I'm like, not today yet. I'm gonna wait till someone buys tickets. Still,
yeah, I'll be honest. We don't go to movies very often.
Sure.
Number one, just because like I have so much streaming shit at home packed with things I've never watched in my life that like I don't necessarily need to spend the money. But funnily enough, I'd say about a month ago, my mother-in-law was nice enough to watch The Boy, so my wife and I could have a date night.
Okay.
So we decided we were going to go see Twisters.
Okay.
And not more than 5 minutes before we sat down and they were starting the previews, the entire building got evacuated because of a CO2 leak.
Oh my God.
So maybe that was a sign that we're not supposed to go see movies in theaters. They gave us like vouchers that we have, we still need to use.
Yeah.
But like, man, we hadn't tried to go. I think the last movie I saw before that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I went with my brother-in-law to see that. Really enjoyed it. We went to like 3 movies in 2023, and I was like, all right, maybe getting the flow of this again. And then fucking nope. It's but they tried to kill us.
Sounds like the right idea not to go to movies for that.
But before, when I grew up in a trailer, I was worried about literal twisters. And now I go to this movie about twisters, and they're still trying to get me in a roundabout way.
Crazy.
Well, and the funny thing, like the other thing too, is like movies hit digital so fast now. It's like 2-week window. So it's like if it's something you really, really have to, and if it's really bad, like Borderlands, it's even quicker than 2 weeks.
Let me say Borderlands.
Man, it's been probably since I was first getting into the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I felt like day one movies was super important to me.
Yeah.
At this point, like, and I enjoy movies. I don't want to be someone who claims like, oh, movies are like, what? Like, I like movies, but I honestly can't think of a single movie that could get announced right now that I'd be like, fuck yeah, I have to be there for the midnight showing of this. Like, I just don't know what that is. Maybe something like that'll pop up as my son gets older. Maybe if he gets excited about something, maybe it'll seem like a different experience then. But right now, like, I can't fathom going at midnight to watch something in a theater. I need to see that desperately.
For me, it'd be Rush Hour 4.
Damn it.
There you go.
Bring that up all the
If I get a
time.
Rush Hour 4, I am there.
There you go.
Jackie Chan is 70 years old. Let the man die.
No, he might be 70, but he moves like he's 20.
I know.
That man
Still
is
kill me.
not gonna
Easily.
stop. Like,
That's weird.
easily.
I'm 42 and move like I'm 90. So it's very similar.
Yeah, I'll jump in then. Before we were talking about streaming sites, and I thought about it just as you guys were talking. So I don't know if you ever paid attention, but there's an Indian version of The Office.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there's
an
also
Australian one
that
coming too.
Australian one coming out.
Yeah, they just announced
the Australian remake.
Australian one, yeah.
man, I started watching the first episode. I didn't get far into it. I'm like a minute into it, but I was like, I got to stop because I'm going to sit down and try to watch through it. But it's going to be interesting.
I think it would be interesting because I saw somebody just talking about kind of the discourse of the Australian one that you just mentioned, Kyle.
Yeah.
And I think they could be interesting because like even like the difference between like the UK one and the American one is like workplace culture is different in the different places. So I think there's different types of humor that can be like used in it's not going to be just like a shot for shot remake or storyline for storyline remake because there's different things. So like I'm pretty fascinated. I don't know if I would get into watching the entire series of the Indian or Australian one, but I'd be interested in watching an episode or two to kind of see like, okay,
see what is
this and see if it hooks me. Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, I think it's only a couple episodes into the first. I think it might be the entire first season of it that dropped on Hulu. And I was like, well, you know what? Since I've got it, I'll put it in my list of stuff to watch whenever I get free time and I can actually sit down and watch it. It looks interesting. But I jumped in and I saw a couple of things that Netflix popped out. That one movie called Rebel Ridge It's about a guy who essentially it's about a ex-military guy who gets mistaken for being, you know, essentially black in a small town, and the cops end up pretty much robbing him of all his money, and the money he had is actually money he was trying to help get his cousin out of prison. And essentially he ends up going against the cop force because they're part of a small town, and essentially they're all corrupt and everything like that. I thought it was going to be more action packed than it was.
Okay.
And it really wasn't. Not to say it was bad. It's not a horrible movie.
It's the one that has Don Johnson, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Not saying that it's a bad movie at all. It's just not what I thought it was going to be. Like,
okay.
For a person who's like ex-military, he doesn't really like fight, which is like kind of weird. Like, I was like, okay, thinking he's ex-military, this man's gonna throw hands. Definitely does not throw much hands in the movie. Like the last,
you and me both, man.
Yeah, man. The last maybe like 10 minutes, they start getting into like a big scuff between him and the police force, but it's still not. He's not even like really like fighting. It's more like chokeouts and stuff like that, and it's okay. It's just not what I thought it was going to be. Like, I definitely give it a 5. His acting was pretty solid. I thought he was entertaining in it. I'm trying to find his name. Maybe Aaron Pierre, I think is his name. He's not bad. Just not what I thought it was going to be. Then I went ahead and tackled that movie, The Deliverance, that dropped on Netflix.
Is it the horror one?
It is the horror one.
Okay.
Where the kids get possessed. That wasn't horrible. It was okay. It wasn't the. I would have to say, what was it? That Incarnate with Sydney Sweeney.
Immaculate.
Thank you. I was like, I couldn't remember what it was. I think that was probably more not disturbing, but more like unnerving than this one was.
That movie, the thing that had you going in that movie was like it was shockingly violent when it was violent.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like this lady hit the pavement and they pull her head up and it's just peeling her face off.
Yeah, that was intense. Yeah, that was wild.
Like, this is a little bit much.
This one wasn't really like that. There's so essentially what happens is a mom moves into this house. Over time, the house essentially is haunted, and it starts like trying to take control of her kids. She has 3 kids. The only thing about it, the mom was pretty hands-on with the kids. Like, she was, you know, smacking them around and stuff like that, which is what I wasn't expecting in the movie.
Okay.
But it kind of helped with the direction the movie went in. But it was okay. I give both this and Rebel Ridge like a 5. They weren't really like great, but they're not like horrible. Like, it's not Terrifier horrible where like I regret my decisions. It's not Ghostbusters 2016 horrible. Like, I wish I could rewind the time back for it. It's not even TMNT 3 bad, but it's just like,
you shut your mouth.
Hey, it's true. TMNT 3 was horrible.
We talk about
they
the original
traveled
one.
through time, damn it.
Yeah. Where they invent pizza.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That
the only thing that's worse
otherwise that kid can't visit them in the future if there's no pizza to deliver.
The only thing that's worse than TMNT 3 is Coming Out of Our Shells, the tour. That's only thing worse than TMNT 3. All right. But all in all, yeah, it's not horrible. I went ahead and also saw this movie called Dash Cam out on Hulu. This I didn't really know what this was. It's found footage type film, and
like VHS.
Kind of like VHS. It's COVID. It's like in the year of COVID. So like everybody's masking up. And like, so this American goes overseas to, I believe she's in England. and they're taking the protocol serious. So they're, as she's like walking around free masked, they're like, you need to mask up, and she's like, no, I'm not masking, you won't take my life, blah 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 blah, those kind of people. She is very annoying, the girl who plays the main character. Very, very annoying. I don't know if that's just part of her demeanor for the character, but it was hard to watch because
so
of
you're
her.
Saying this was a 3 out of 10?
Maybe like a 4 out of 10. I will say the only redeemingness of it is the girl who is possessed.
Mm-hmm.
She plays that role really well, and that kind of helps. There's also like another the main girl's co-star in it plays his role pretty good too, and those are probably the 2 redeeming parts of the movie. The cast is like super small. There's like maybe like essentially there's only 4 people in the movie.
Interesting.
And yeah, it's very interesting. It's not horrible, it's not bad. It was a pretty solid watch. I would definitely give it maybe like a 5.5 out of 10. Would I watch it again? Probably not.
No.
But it was enjoyable when I was watching it. And then as I was talking to you about it earlier, Slither. Man, how come this movie is just not more talked about? Like,
have you never seen it before?
So I've seen it, but it's been a minute.
Okay.
And so that I caught it because
I haven't seen it since it came out.
I watched it a long time ago.
Tubi had it, and I was trying to find something to watch, and I was like, oh yeah, man, Slither, let me just pop this back on and let me see what's... Yeah, it's fantastic. Like, it's just such a funny and fucking ridiculous movie. Like, it's fantastic. I have to say, if you guys...
Isn't that a James Gunn movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was one of his early ones.
Yeah.
Like, ironically, the other one that he did in that same era, and I've seen that one like 3 times, was that Super.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
That played Jabba. For whatever reason, I've seen that multiple times. Not a bad movie, but it gets very dark.
Yeah.
So it goes from being a comedy to real dark real fast.
Yeah. But yeah, very enjoyable watch. I'm glad I caught into it, and that's it. That's all I've watched in my time frame.
No, that's fine.
Not enough. Keep watching.
I know. I'm sorry, man. I'll do better next time.
Yeah, the other thing that's coming out, and I'll watch it, but I don't think I'll have seen it before the next time we record, because it's the same. It's literally the same night as Joker, so it's the night before we record. They're finally putting out that Stephen King remake of Salem's Lot on HBO.
Oh yeah,
they didn't Batgirl this movie like everybody thought. I'm still leery because like this movie has been done and sat on a shelf for 2 years, so like how good is it really? But like the trailer was not bad, so and it's in my top 5 Stephen King books. So and it's time. It's been 20 years since the last remake of that. It was the Rob Lowe remake in 2004. It was okay. So can't top that 70s movie.
Yeah,
with the kid at the window. The vampire kid, it's still creepy.
Hey, when are they going to remake Langoliers? You know which one I'm talking about, right?
I know which one you're talking about.
That was a TV movie, I'm pretty sure.
That was a TV, but that was the era where they made like 3 or 4 of those Stephen King, and those weren't books. Those were like he wrote those for TV.
Yeah.
Because there's also like Storm of the Century is one.
I remember that one. Yeah.
That one's not very good either.
It's okay. It's just it gets dragged out for way too long.
It gets dragged out a little bit. There's one other one I'm trying to think of, but then Langolier, that was one.
He did that one. He did like that TNT like mini series thing.
Are you talking about the one that the Nightmares and Dreamscapes that was based on the book? That actually was pretty solid.
Yeah. Some
of them were.
Yeah, not so good.
Okay.
Like
good idea in theory, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I always like those anthology horror. Like, we need to do more of that, like Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah, you and I talk about that stuff all the time. And then every so often I'll find a new weird one. I'm like, all right, you need to get this so we can see what this is about.
Since you mentioned that, I'll mention it briefly because I watched the first episode. You told me to get that like 90s American Gothic show.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode. It's not bad.
Okay. I read that synopsis and I was like, shit, this is a Kyle show if I've ever read one.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's like, it's weird and it's fun to see Gary Cole play that, like, kind of like like he probably is the devil, like I don't know, but like He probably is, but he's also the sheriff of this town. So not bad. First episode was not bad. I will say the one thing that is really weird though is seeing the Tokyo Drift guy as a child. The Tokyo Drift. Yeah, but he still has the same accent and sounds identical to how he did in Tokyo Drift.
That's great.
So it's jarring when you watch it because I'm like, oh yeah, it's the Tokyo Drift. It's weird. But yeah, I will watch more of that because it actually seems like it's pretty solid, pretty weird. So, but we'll kick over and wrap up with some emails here. I will fully admit the first email I meant to read when we talked about the PS4 Pro stuff, I forgot, but the other you
can read a bunch of these here
Pro, but some of these actually had like additional questions we can answer. So. But first one comes to us from Chris from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hi, guys. What is up with Sony? We've known about the PS5 Pro for over a year, and finally we get the details in a 9-minute video that shows no new games, but old games that will run better. Games we've all played and played to death. Where are the new games that are going to sell us on the console? No disc drive, no stand, $700. Is this Sony's massive heel turn this generation? Who is this thing for? We pretty much answered that.
Just go ahead and read the next.
I'm gonna read all three.
Yeah, read all three of them, and then we'll kind of talk about
Brent from Cincinnati, Ohio. Howdy, dudes. How about this awful PS5 Pro showcase we just witnessed? What an absolute joke! They expect us to shell out over $700 for a slightly better machine that doesn't have a disc drive or a stand. For most people, this is an over $800 investment, and that's just in the U.S. Almost every other market gets screwed even harder when it comes to the price. I just can't believe after having this thing leak over a year ago, all the specs were exactly what was leaked and the price is as absurd as it is. That's something I forgot to point out. Yeah. Do you guys even see this thing being viable? Any chance a price drop comes anytime soon? Or is Sony just gonna Sony? And then I think, this is the last one that's directly related to this. Brian from Dodge City, Kansas. Hi, 572. I'm sure you guys by now have seen all the information surrounding the PS5 Pro, including the tech specs being just a tad better, the lack of a disc drive and stand, and the absolutely astronomical $700 price tag. It just sucks. And while all of that came as bad news, here's my question to all of you. Where does this leave Microsoft for the rest of this generation? What do they do and how will they respond? I remember way back Phil Spencer had stated that they would not be doing any mid-gen refresh systems this generation, and right now it really seems like they are sticking to that. There's no doubt in my mind the Series X is a powerful machine, but it just seems strange to me that Microsoft would sit out and lose the power argument again after firing back last generation a year later with the Xbox One X, which was more powerful than the PS4 Pro. Do you think they just go earlier with the next gen machine, say 2026? Do you think that they really pull through another 4 years? Thanks to this was another news article I forgot to put in here. Thanks to those leaked PS6 chipset documents, we now know Sony isn't looking at a next generation until 2028. I just can't see them spending the next 4 years sitting it out with this machine. What are y'all's take on this?
Lot to unpack.
Yeah, lot to unpack with those emails for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said before, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think this is their heel turn. I think this is more the Sony Super Cena era.
There you go.
Where they're like, maybe people don't want this, but we're pushing this way, and you're gonna love it, and it's always gonna be this. I think it's more that than the heel turn.
This reminds me. This is like the Sony wave of how they behave, because we've talked about it before, and again, working in retail, you get to see a lot of this firsthand. Is like by the end of the PS2 era, it's clear number one.
Oh yeah,
Xbox and GameCube are somewhere 2 and 3. You couldn't really tell at that point because at the time the GameCube wasn't appreciated, the Xbox was new. So those two kinds of systems just kind of existed. So then we move into the PS3 era, and Sony's at the point where they think we can do nothing wrong. We're clearly in first place. Whatever we tell them is gospel, and they will do it. And then they come out and give their presentation, and they drop $5.99 on their little slide, and the room goes quiet. And immediately it's like, uh-oh. And then the 360 comes out, and it's easier to develop for, just as powerful, has better features like removable hard drives and stuff. You know, it's missing stuff that they added back with revisions and stuff later.
Out a year earlier, if I remember.
It's out earlier. It's cheaper. It's just everything about it is better.
$200 cheaper.
Right. The controller is far better because remember, PS3 6-axis controllers feel like cheap knockoff controllers because they have nothing in it. Didn't have Rumble in it because who knows why.
They added that back later.
It's just everything about the 360 is better, and then Microsoft just dominates. They took over. I couldn't keep 360s in stock at the store. PS3s got returned. So then, you know, Sony spends a generation humbling themselves and having to react, and then they comes back to the PS4, and we ride the wave back up. We can't do anything wrong. We'll tell you by the end of it. By the end of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So
I had a good tee off from the other side to get to that.
By the end of it, they're at the we can't do anything wrong. We'll put the PS5 out. People will buy it, no questions asked, and they did. So now we're at the point where it's like they're outselling them. Look, we're clearly in first place again. We can do whatever we want, and especially because it's new CEO time, those two of them can do whatever they want.
Say new co-CEO
right
time.
So it's they go through this cycle, and this has the potential to really fuck them up going forward.
It does.
Because we talk about Microsoft taking L's and making mistakes. So we talk about Sony's right there, man. Like they're not doing anything right. We talk about Microsoft doesn't have games. Sony has Astro Bot.
Yeah. I also feel that this is all, you know, relative, I guess, to what people think is too expensive. Like Microsoft's making L's, but I don't feel pricing has been their L's.
No,
it's been everything else.
Yeah.
but I don't think, you know, they didn't not have games and then try to sell the Series X for $900 or something like that. I do think I don't think this means that suddenly Xbox is in the lead, and I don't think that's what this shift is. No. But I do think, you know, people will put up with Sony putting out, consoles or accessories or whatever that people don't care about. They'll put up with the PSVR because whatever, we still have our, that's a niche thing. I think when you start fucking with people's money, though, it becomes a little different.
Right. When you ask them for $800, because we're not even going to pretend that it's $700. It's $800. Yeah. It's $800 for a slightly better version of something that this is marketed towards people who already own one of these. This isn't for new people coming in. This isn't what people wait. Yeah, I'm going to wait for PS5 until they come out with the Pro. And then they say it's $800. You go, yeah, that's my buy-in point. No, that is not what it's for. This is for people who already have one. This is for the core Sony base. This is for professionals. That's what it's for. It's not even a joke. That's what it's marketed as.
It is the PS5.
And we didn't even talk about it before. You didn't put it in the news. All this 30th anniversary shit got announced today.
Yeah, that just got announced today. That's part of the reason why. But
where they're making, limited edition colors, which, to be fair, all look great. I would argue that's the color the system should be anyway.
I agree too.
The controller 100%. Looks awesome. I'm going to try to get one of those. But this Pro thing they put out for this, it's the 30th anniversary is only Pros and only digital systems. They aren't making physical discs soon. This is what this is telling you. They're done. We're talking about but you want to talk about this PS6 chipset. Everybody's thinking it's a huge win because it'll let you play backwards compatibility for everything. Not if they don't put a fucking disk drive in the next one. It sure doesn't seem like they're going to.
Yeah. The other thing that's goofy about let's say you wanted to buy the PS5 Pro Anniversary Edition, right? And I would assume you could still put a disk drive on that.
You can.
But is it going to match?
They said today, because enough people complained, they're going to offer a gray thing to put over it.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Because I'm like, boy, that seems
right.
awful.
Oh, and keep in mind that one does come with the stand, by the way.
Of course, and I'm sure it will cost. You'll pay for that.
Early.
This will be up.
Early things are. This is going to be somewhere around $900 to $1,000.
Good Lord.
Which again, who is it for?
For a home console.
Professionals. PS professionals.
I'm out, man.
So far out.
Yeah, and for me, it's just a financial thing. like I love video games. I love collecting video games, but I think just the way things have been trending with this shit, like I've kind of reached my limit a little bit where it's like, okay, I have shelves of stuff I've not had time to play. Maybe for the next, 3-4 years, barring some new releases that I'm really excited about, this might just be backlog time until the next, I would say, I'm an Xbox guy, and I think I would say the same thing. If they tried to release a Pro or whatever, I think I'd be the same thing where I'm like, all right, I can't anymore. Like you're asking too much of me at this point.
Microsoft's smartest move would be to skip making a half system, go on to whatever the PS6 competitor is, and just get it out before the PS6.
That's what I think.
Get it out 26 or 27.
Get it out in 20. If PS6, you'd have to guess right now is probably 28, right?
It seems like
28.
Yeah. So there was the leaked
27
PS6
would be if they really
chips
pushed
really
it, I think.
wanted
But
yeah. I think it's 2020.
Yeah. So get your
But then
system
my
out
question
in 26.
to you is,
damn, you're ahead.
but my question to you at this point then, if the PS5 Pro is sitting at $800, what is the PS6 going to sit at? It's going to
This
jump.
is the test.
Right, exactly. So is it going to automatically jump up to like almost $900?
Is it baseline 800 at the very lowest?
I wouldn't be surprised if 7 is the starting price of the next console, like the PS6, and it's digital only. Companies have done this for years. This is the market test. Remember, games were $50, and then all of a sudden they would make special versions that were $60, and all of those sold. Well, gee, I think we can charge $60 for games now. And then they started making $70 editions of stuff. They started to sell. These are all tests to see what the limit is on stuff. If this, God help us, if the Pro sells out. But the 30th anniversary
I will tell you right now,
those are gone.
I'm going to tell you right now, it will, because it's going to be a limited run amount of machines in the beginning, and they want it to look like it is a machine that is selling.
They're going to pull that Nintendo move, that kind of that faux scarcity.
Well, they're already doing it though by making the first 2 weeks PlayStation Direct only, because then they can report those numbers. And they go, look at all these people that rush. They don't give a shit what people at retail buy. They don't give a shit about that.
No.
And all those drives are gone already, right? So, I mean, even if you buy a PS5
they said they're going to make
more, but they're going to make more of those because they're going to have to make more of those. They can't just be like, all the ones that we made are out, and fuck you if you don't have one. These are just people trying to capitalize on people needing it now.
That's what it is.
But, yeah, I mean, Microsoft, I would say skip whatever the next thing is, like the half thing, which it seems like they did, and really just go hard on trying to figure out what the next thing is. Is it a console? Is it a console plus handheld? Is it just a handheld that links to your TV? Figure it out. But it's got to be more powerful than a Pro by far, because it has to compete with a PS6, not a PS5 Pro.
And it has to be reasonably priced.
I think
they can't come out and all of a sudden be like, well, ours is $800.
No, I think the reasonable next top out for the next stuff is $600.
Six.
Yeah.
I think so too.
We're already there as it is. That's what it's going to be. I mean, we're talking about consoles now that haven't dropped price in 4 years already.
Yeah.
Insane.
And have actually increased in some places.
And accessories have increased price. The whole thing's a shit show. But to people who think that the PS6 is going to have backwards compatibility because of this chipset, you're wrong. Because it's not going to have a disk drive. No. It'll play your digital stuff because that's either all emulated.
I told you at the beginning of this year, I succumbed to the fact of with the Xbox, I just stopped buying physical games for it.
No reason to buy them anymore.
I just buy everything digital for it if I'm going to buy some, because I've already succumbed to the fact that next gen is probably going to be all digital.
But they have an excuse. Their excuse is Game Pass. All of our shit's on Game Pass. Just buy Game Pass.
But this year I went the other route with okay, if I want a game physical, I'll buy it for PS5. Right. And then we get to this now where it's maybe not so much. So.
Yeah, maybe they're already done, which it sure seems like they are.
So
It's just, that being said, this shit looks great. I want that controller.
I want that controller. And that's the one thing I looked at. Like, I could maybe get the controller.
I was kind of surprised that they're making a portal of it too, like a great portal. I guess it's still selling well enough, but God, if that thing could just play games. Oh, and
I would get one if
the controller's the only thing I would even.
And I'll go next to my Astro Bot and my Spider-Man controller. That's about it.
I'll go next to my DualShock 4 20th. Is it 20th anniversary?
Yeah,
was it?
25.
I think it was 20th. I don't think it was 25 because that would have been.
Oh, you're right. Wow.
So I have it still in the box because when we found those boxes the other day when we were getting the office and stuff done, I actually found some of that stuff. So I found that it's still in the box. Like I put it back in. I never really used that controller.
We didn't talk about this either, but I wanted to bring this up quick too. Did you see this? Sure. Did you see the Switch 2 stuff?
I saw somebody
it's just
leaked
a bigger Switch.
It's a big ass Switch.
It's like
I saw somebody 3D printed what it was like in comparison.
It's just a larger Switch.
Which also that's fine if that's what it is.
I guess so, but it's Nintendo. Like they're not gonna just make the same thing but bigger. It'll do
it'll
be different.
It'll do something.
Yes.
It needs to like we said before. It has to be backwards compatible.
The thing I thought I saw that was dumb was like the game thing isn't on the top anymore, but it's on the side. But it can't be on the side because that's where I put the controller. So you're saying I have to take the controller off to take that out?
Take that off every time. That sounds
fuck. Why would that have to? If it's bigger, why does that have to be moved?
That's weird.
Like my hands notwithstanding, one of the I don't like to play things. I got a Pro controller because I don't like taking.
No, I hate it.
Joy-Cons
I fucking hate it.
You always feel like you're about to snap the system.
You can't.
I always felt like I was about to break it.
It never really quite feels like I'm pushing that button in far enough, even though I sure am.
Yeah. So I don't want to be messing with that.
Just to switch a game?
Games in and out. Yeah.
And again, if it's bigger, why is that moving? There should be more room for it up there.
It's weird.
I don't. That all seems like horseshit to me.
Yeah. Weird. The other thing that looked like it was new, like does the current Switch have a microphone built into it? Because I did see that.
Fuck. I don't know if it does. Honestly, I don't fucking know. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't think it.
That seemed interesting. Going back to the old Famicom.
Yeah. You know what? I don't think it does because if it did, wouldn't the Pro controller need to have one in it for that to make sense?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So, I mean, that looks like if all this is, again, nobody fucking knows.
It's all leaked pictures of Chinese documents that no one can corroborate. So yeah, it's got to be real.
I think it's going to go exactly like the Switch one. I think we're going to wake up one day in October. They're going to be like, hey, we're going to talk about it tomorrow.
Yep.
You're going to get that sweet trailer where people are dancing on rooftops again.
Yeah, where will they party with their Switches now?
Right? And then I think we'll get a big presentation in January.
Concentration camp memorials.
There you go.
It'll be Arlington where you take your thumbs up, your thumbs up selfies.
And then the Just Dance Panda comes dancing out with his Switch.
There you go. I think then in January you'll get your big blowout like presentation where you'll get release date, price,
games,
non-availability, all the fun stuff.
I'm fully prepared.
It's going to be
the thing about this one is
it's going to be bad.
I'm fully prepared not to buy a Switch 2 at launch, and I'm okay with it this time. Like I just
okay.
I'd have to be blown away by something for a game for that to be like I have to try to find
Nintendo
one.
Keeps saying over and over again they're going to have enough for a launch. I'm like, no, you always say that.
No, I watched it. So I've watched it every time. No,
no,
I watched it.
I mean, it just depends on what they think is enough, though. Like, is Odyssey 2 or whatever the new
he's talking about
Mario
like physical quantities of systems. Don't have enough.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like games, so they meant like launch games.
Game wise,
not a chance in hell they have enough systems.
Game wise, they don't have to have a single fucking thing. It doesn't matter. It'll sell. But like, I've watched the Switch Nightmare. I watched the Wii Super Nightmare. The Wii, the Wii U.
I was working at Target during the Wii one. That's the only one I had retail experience with.
The Wii was a
hard
fuck show. Because the only problem with the Wii, the real problem with the Wii, no more remotes. Fucking insane. We had 20 systems reserved. They got one additional remote.
I think the Wii was the last system I camped out. I camped out to reserve it though. So I didn't camp out to buy it.
That's why Wii Play is one of the greatest selling games of all time. It had a fucking remote in the box.
That's how you got the remote.
And that's what we just tell people, like, you're going to want to buy this. Why? It has a remote. Oh, okay. Yeah, you need it. Well, can't I just use regular control? Listen, nobody's explaining to you what the hell's happening here. No, nothing about this is regular.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not going to have anywhere near enough Switch 2s now. But
no, they're not.
That might be a holiday purchase for me. A little bit closer to that time.
And historically, they'll have one game you care about, and it might just be a port of a Switch game, and one other game you might like in a couple months.
Do you think that's Metroid Prime 4?
I think Metroid Prime 4 is definitely a Switch 2 game, which might get released on the Switch. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the Breath of the Wild for this one.
I don't think there's a Zelda ready for this, because otherwise this current one would be coming out. Yeah. Which I'm fucking.
That's next week already.
Game. They came up so fucking fun.
Yeah, they'll probably do a Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe
Ultimate.
That'd be the
Drift
Ultra
Tokyo Drift.
It's gonna be interesting.
There's still a few more tracks from the old games.
Yeah, we haven't made them all yet.
Right? Yeah. So that'll be the
Animal.
And they'll make
Animal Crossing newer Horizons.
The newest
Horizons.
Here's a new area.
Yeah. You can fit one more house on your island. You're welcome.
Just call Animal Crossing. You'll buy it again.
Yeah. We're shutting off the other one. You got to buy this one. Okay.
Don't make us start another pandemic. All right. Buy the damn game.
Is there any company that made more money off the pandemic than Nintendo? Just from that fucking game?
I mean, all of the manufacturers made money off of the
Nintendo,
pandemic,
though, man.
Nintendo
blew up.
I remember that. Like, that was the only game that I bought during the pandemic that I bought digitally that I regret, because I would have liked to have, because it's the only everything I bought for Switch has been physical, except that because what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
So
that game was such a big just the timing, because even my wife bought it.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we weren't married at the time. We were long distance, Indiana and California at the time, and my wife will play an occasional game, but she's not someone who's buying games. She bought a Switch and that game. That was such a weird time.
People who didn't play games were buying Switches.
Next email comes to us from Casey from Modesto, California. Hi guys, love the conversation you guys had last week regarding Concord and the failure of that game. But with this PS5 Pro news hitting, Sony really seems to be taking a lot of L's lately and catching up with Microsoft. With that and all these massive layoffs in the gaming industry, are we on the verge of another crash in the video game space? I don't think you'll ever see the 80s crash again.
Yeah, I think crash is relative.
Yeah.
At this point, eventually popularity has to, that's just how things work, and then things recorrect, and then are kind of recorrect themselves, and then whatever the next trend will develop itself, and that'll bring it back. It always happens. We're not having fucking. Concord's not getting buried in New Mexico landfills.
Yeah, it's not on that level. Like you said, it means something different this time. It means you're going to see games like Concord, where they have extended development times and bloated budgets and all that stuff, aren't going to happen anymore. Because
I think that's the biggest thing that will change, is you're going to see games that go back to lower budgets and smaller teams.
I think we'll start getting more 15 to 20 hour experiences with smaller teams, with shorter development cycles.
Live service stuff is going to take a break, because Suicide Squad killed it, Concord killed it, even Destiny is hanging on.
2024 has been the death of the live service.
2024 has changed a lot of stuff. Obviously we've gone through all of this horseshit Gamergate bullshit argument stuff. But you're seeing there are ramifications to that, and the arguments and stuff that's going on, where some of the biggest selling games of the year are stuff that you would never are Stellar Blade and Black Myth Wukong and fucking Helldivers, and it's weird stuff out of nowhere that are taking off, because people they're interested in new IPs if they're good or they seem well thought out.
Or
they don't seem like a copy of a game from 8 years ago.
There you go.
Or in the case of our next email, a returning franchise that hasn't had an entry in
since
12
360.
Years? I don't know how much you know of this situation. This brings up our favorite topic, Kotaku. Henry from Danville, Indiana. Hi, 572 crew. I know that you all love to hate on Kotaku. We do. As pretty much everyone does. Everybody does.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you've seen this article going around where they are trying to slander the CEO from Saber, makers of the very well-received Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, regarding his comments about making a throwback game that avoids messaging. Really seems like they are pushing the CEO to come out and say more about it, and he's just denying to comment on it. Not shocking that Kotaku is trying to fuel this fire even further. Was curious with your takes on it. So what do you know of this situation?
I read about it. It's pretty funny.
It's funny. So allegedly, I don't know if you're familiar with the YouTuber Asmongold.
Oh, I am.
But he was he's just like he's a creepy dude.
He's a shit poster.
I watched
in
it
real
behind
time.
the scenes.
Yeah.
I watched it behind the scenes thing of how that guy lives, and it brought me memories of like hoarders. Like it was terrifying. But anyways, that aside, very popular like reactionary YouTuber. So he did a reaction video to like a video on this Warhammer game, and so allegedly the CEO of Saber commented on it.
Oh, I saw that.
Said like, okay, and he commented, said like, thanks, for the comments about the game or whatever. And it basically stated like, hey, we wanted to make a game that was a throwback to like the 360 generation, where it's just a fun.
We're trying to make something fun. It's not trying to play.
Yeah. But he did use the terms in there, avoids messaging, which of course will trigger outlets like Kotaku. The thing is, he's never come out and like said, hey, he's never said I did this or I did not. The only comment he made was he said something, I believe it was like on LinkedIn or something, where he said, I don't know, whoever made that comment seems like a sharp person. This was his like coy way of like, but Kotaku cannot handle that this guy will not say if he's made it or not. So they wrote a hit piece the other day, just throwing this guy in the mud basically because of course he said what he said, which I read it and I look at it as guy said he wanted to make a throwback game. It's sold very, very well. I want to play the game really bad. I think I text you every day. I text in our group chat with Eric, who used to be on the show, because I tell him every day, like, I see videos of this stupid game every day. I'm like, I want to play it so bad, but I don't want to spend $70 on it.
I like how the whole thing is like, it avoids messaging. I just want it to be fun. It's a fucking Warhammer game called Space Marine. What message is it supposed to have?
Exactly.
Who cares?
If you want, it's like Gears of War.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's based off of a board game where people paint little figures for 6 hours a day, and I think that's pretty fucking cool. Like, who cares?
I do too. I can't get into it though because it'll destroy my life.
Is it supposed to have? Maybe the whole game should be about climate change. Is that what they want?
Right? Like,
yeah. I mean, it sounds pretty calculated to me to stir up the people who, like, which for me is a little douchey because like your point's well taken there, Dan. That like no one's really expecting a lot of messaging out of this to begin with.
Space Marine game, yeah.
But it reminds me of like the comedians who talk about like how comedy's so woke now and they're gonna cancel me. Like, no, just tell your fucking jokes and no one would care. But now you've made it like before you even been canceled, you've made your new persona. I'm the guy getting canceled. And so now you've brought that attention in just to stir controversy. It feels like this. Like nobody was going to say anything about this game being woke or not either way. Like probably no one gave a shit one way or the other.
For sure.
And then he's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to do a game that like, man, I don't have politics in my game. I'm just trying to like, okay, now you've done it on purpose.
Hey, you know what though? When Kotaku hates a game, it sells. So maybe he knew what he was doing the whole time.
Yeah. He really hated Black Myth Wukong.
He's a douche, but I can't bring myself to like side with Kotaku either.
I get what he's going for. He's just doing it to poke the bear and piss people off.
Yeah.
That's on them for taking it personal and having to write a hit piece about an offhanded comment on some shit YouTuber's page. Wow.
Yeah. They totally took the bait. Let's be honest here.
Sure. Yeah. They did. But yeah, no, it's just another shit Kotaku article. So I did see, I don't think I sent it to you the other day, but like somebody posted a little infographic of like Kotaku's site traffic for this year and how it's like really, really bad now. So like, I don't know.
Not
Maybe we're getting close.
When are they going to start writing the game guides they're supposed to write?
I don't know.
Never.
When do I get game guides on Warhammer Space Marine 2? Like, can I get some game guides from them on that? Like, let's see here. We got Elise from St. Cloud, Minnesota. Writes in, hi guys, I have 2 questions directed at Kyle and me. Number 1, early reviews of Joker 2 have been pretty mixed to negative. Has this impacted you if you're going to go see the movie or review the movie at all? Has it dampened your expectations? Number 2, with your conversations last week on watching random Michael Keaton movies, I'm curious what you think is his best performance outside of the known stuff like Batman and Beetlejuice. Anything that you would recommend? Thanks. As far as the Joker 2 goes, I just want to see it because like I need to see if it's if it is a train wreck, like the musical aspect of it that I part of me kind of wants it to be a train wreck because I think it's like to see how low it can go because like I still can't picture in my mind how it's going to work as a musical.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense to me, but at the same time, like I don't want it to be terrible. Like I'm so mixed on it, but like I just have to see. Like so, like it coming out with mixed reviews. It reminds me. It reminds me of 2019 all over again. The only difference is, remember in 2019 they thought it was going to stir up controversy and they were putting cops in theaters.
Well,
because they thought that there was going to be some big event and then nothing happened. That's the only difference. Is like this time I don't know. It mixed reviews, but like I don't know. My opinion is I'm going to go see it. By the stance I have had on this the entire time is I don't think they should have made a Joker 2. Prove me wrong, and we'll see on the 4th of October if they can prove me wrong. So as far as Michael Keaton goes, yeah, because we went on that. I forgot about that last week. I went on a bender before Beetlejuice. I was like, I'm going to watch a bunch of Michael Keaton movies that I haven't seen or seen bits and pieces of. As far as movies I would recommend with him in, the easiest ones I could say would be Mr. Mom is a favorite of mine. The Dream Team from 1989 is a hilarious comedy. It's still funny today. A little dated because it's the 80s. And then if you want to see like a good serious performance, where I think that was like his first true like really like Oscar-worthy performance, Clean and Sober from 1988 is very good, like churn of like this dude's been making comedies for a while. Now all of a sudden it's a serious movie. So and I don't know, you have no context for this, Ryan. We talked about last week. Michael Keaton's my favorite actor of all time.
I was picking up the
yeah, he figured it out.
Pick up pieces a little bit. Not just because he played Batman, but as a kid, like my dad, favorite actor of all time as well, and like I got into a lot of his movies as a kid. Yeah. So
I remember really enjoying Multiplicity.
Multiplicity is a good one too. Yeah, when you get to the 90s, yeah, like Multiplicity, I really enjoyed. That's funny. We talked about Desperate Measures. I think he does good in that movie, but that's a dark movie. Was that the one that you said you saw as a kid at a birthday party?
Desperate Measures.
Yeah. That's such a weird.
I was like I had in middle school when we went and saw that movie in theaters.
Yeah, it's
super weird.
It's like my dad when I was 10, like we're gonna watch Cobra, and my mom came home and was like, "What did you watch? Cobra with Stallone? Why did you show
and I was the kid who had the mom that was like really like uptight about stuff.
It's weird
because not only that, but I also went and saw Tomorrow Never Dies with him, like a James Bond movie with him, which I even thought like even that seems like it was too far for his mom. But yeah, it's Desperate Measures. Fucking, I hadn't thought about that movie in years until we talked about it last night. Hey, best Michael Keaton performance is the Vulture in Spider-Man.
He was good as the Vulture.
When Peter opens that door and he's standing there, and you go, "Oh my god!" Like that was such a great part of that movie.
The only other one I'll
say
throw
the other
out,
guys.
The other guys, yeah, he's good in that. I would say if I was gonna throw out like a more modern, like after he kind of came back from his break, Birdman.
Birdman's really good. I like that movie too.
Really good, like shockingly good movie. He should have won the Oscar for that. I still got robbed that year, but hey. Anyways, but yeah, those would be the ones that I would recommend. So we got 2 emails left. One we got here, Kirk from San Antonio, Texas. This is for you, Ryan. Hi, guys. Thought Ryan was going to be on the podcast. Question, do you have any Holy Grail games left that you're trying to collect as of late?
Honestly, probably not. So, as Dan alluded to earlier, I'm actually paring down the collection a little bit right now. I'm at that stage of the collector's journey where when you first start collecting, you get all the stuff you're nostalgic for from when you're a kid. Then you start going like, oh, I want to get complete sets, or you start like really looking at like YouTube videos and seeing what the hidden gems are. You start finding that stuff. Then you get to the point in my life where there's a life change, which for me was the birth of my son. And then you look around your house and you're like, do I really need 16 totes of stuff in my garage that I can't even display right now? It was easy. Before my son was born, I had 2 game rooms.
Right.
So I had the space to put shit up. And then, one of those had to become his bedroom because he's very selfish. And so I'm actually paring some stuff down. I started to look at the collection and see, like, what am I actually excited about? What do I love? What do I want to share with my son one day? What is fodder that I've just picked up that I can get rid of? I would say probably the one thing, though, because I was talking to Kyle a little bit about this. I don't know if I want to sell my Xbox stuff yet. That might be a collection I still try to go for, my OG Xbox. Mm-hmm. I still would like a full, complete Steel Battalion with the full, tank control setup and all that. I think that is probably the biggest thing I can think of, barring the normal, regular shit that everybody talks about.
Mine's in the other room under some boxes.
Sweet. Getting crushed.
No, they're strategically placed. It's fine.
Okay.
It's under my Borderlands collector's edition with the fucking chest. Remember that thing?
Oh,
Borderlands 2. Yeah.
That was a good one, to be fair. But
yeah, so I would say if there is anything, if I found a good deal on that, I would still be tempted. But honestly, right now, I'm more in the purge part, as I'm trying to. I could get a more curated collection than I'm excited about. Stuff I want to like actually share with my son. Like, I know that's all like the cliche shit that people talk about, but like,
no, man,
honest to God, like, do I need to share my 18 different versions of like Madden 96 on various consoles and stuff? Like, is he going to be pumped to see that?
That is a fun thing to do, though. Like, it's funny that you're on talking about this now, because my son is 6, and I talked about it a while ago. Like, I recently had my box of GameCube games out. He was looking through it, and then he was really interested in stuff. So I hooked up a GameCube, and I was like, oh, we can play some of this stuff. So like today, he was playing Pikmin 2. And he was like, oh, you have Pikmin? I said, yeah. And he goes, oh, can I play it? I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Let's put it in. He learned how to play that for a little bit. But the thing that really is funny to me is he started playing Earthbound yesterday. And that's my favorite game ever. Like, he knows it because I've got a poster of it. My full copy's over here. But it's on the Switch, on the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo thing. Yeah. And I told him, like, you can go on there, just log in as me, and you can see all the stuff. And he's like, I think I'm going to try Earthbound. I said, okay. Like, I'll sit over here and I'll watch it and I'll walk you through it. So we got him through, like, the naming the people and, going out, and he got in some battles and all. And, like, he's enjoying it too, which is really fun for me to see, because, like, that, he's younger than I am, than I was when I played it for the first time. Yeah. But I'm here to like help him through it and stuff. So it's really fun to like see him experience that kind of stuff. And that is what I like the most about collecting at this point. Like, I'm still like, I'm buying stuff off of Ryan because there's still I'm still in the mood where like collect things that are interesting to me, but yeah, I'll hit the purge stage at some point, but maybe I won't. And then it'll just be my kid's problem. Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm dead. Yeah, I'm dead. You figure it out.
And that was like, and that's when you really kind of like, because you mentioned that to me just when we were chatting one night, just kind of like how cool that was. And like, that also makes me want to like pare this down a lot too. Cause it's like, I want him to be excited. Like, oh, you have a copy of what's this Contra? This is cool. Yeah. That's a game I want to play with them. I don't need to play like, Taboo, Sixth Sense, or just like whatever these things are, like I want like anything that he picks up to be something like, oh, let's pop this in. This will be cool to look at. You
can kind of see like my cube stuff is right here now. I put it all in this case, so like he can come over and look at it and just kind of like take stuff out and look at it and read the box, and the cube's right there, so we can go over in there and play it. So it's kind of fun to see him, much like when we were younger, we'd go to the rental store and you'd see all this crap.
You read the figure it out,
read the boxes. He kind of has that in his house because I have a problem. Yeah. But
Right.
But it's, but we can't go do that. Like, there's no place to go do that. So I can kind of have that, give them that experience here. Like
that experience.
Yeah. So that's kind of the fun part of having all this stuff I don't need.
Our final email comes to us from Steve from Royal Oak, Michigan. Hi, 572 guys. I have a retro and a modern question for you. And if it's been asked in the past, I apologize. Do you guys have any recommendations for hooking up systems to your TV? Like maybe any switch boxes or anything like that? The TV I have presently, I want to hook everything up to, has 4 HDMI ports, which, well, a lot. I have 9 things that I want to hook up to this via this connection. And since no one is going to make a TV with 9 HDMI ports, I was curious if any of you have used any kind of switcher or have any recommendations on things to look out for. Thanks. Back in the day, and I haven't used a switcher since the first 4K TV I bought, which was a Vizio. I just went on Amazon, but I very carefully read documentation and was very reviews and would read to make sure that it was going to be compatible. But I used the Switch for a while, and then what made me stop, 2 things made me stop. 1, I got a TV that had more HDMI ports, but 2, it started to get kind of funky, and maybe they figured this problem out now. But when they introduced HDR, that's where switches kind of started to get a little funky. Because at least at that time, you could pass the 4K connection through the Switch, through a Switch box, but you could not pass the HDR part of it through. So I'm sure that's probably been fixed because we're going back a decade now. But my recommendation would just be you go on Amazon or something like that, just read reviews and read through the documentation. Make sure that it's going to be compatible for what especially if it's a modern system.
Yeah, and it kind of depends on, I think, what you're using the switcher for. I currently have one that just is it's only 3, but that's the one that my analog NT, my dock for my pocket, and my switch go through. Because those are ones that, don't necessarily need the best possible HDMI connection, because that's not what I'm looking to get out of these things.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I would say is don't put anything modern through the Switch.
If possible.
Switch box, if possible. If you have 4 HDMI ports, put your modern consoles like a PS5, a Series X or whatever, put those through those directly into the TV. Use your Switch box for stuff that's older.
And I wouldn't, and from personal experience, don't go cheap. I bought a cheap one when I was first starting to hook shit up to modern TVs, and they fry pretty easily, ports on them will fry. And I've seen one at my father-in-law's house actually fry the port on the TV. To the point where we had to get the TV, the TV was under warranty, thankfully, but it was definitely because of the switch that was connected to it. It was some cheap little thing on Amazon, that was $20 or whatever. But it's one of those things where, you want to make sure that you're not buying the $20 one.
And that's what that's where reading reviews on Amazon will come in handy, because I will say if something sucks, they'll tell you on Amazon that it's bad.
Oh God, yeah.
People do not hold back when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, even if it's mean and against you, my special's on Amazon, and somebody who is a fan, in their review, they talked about how big a fan they were of me before they gave me 2 stars and eviscerated me. And for me, my brain was not mad that someone didn't like it. That's not how you can't operate that way to be mad. But I was like, man, if you like me, just don't like it in quiet.
Move on. Yeah.
If you took a chance because you saw it and you hated it, rip into me, man. That's your right. But you clearly already liked me. So shut up, man. What are you doing? I wonder if that's what the people who make cheap switchers that catch TVs on fire are like.
Those people
hard,
don't
man.
care.
What are you doing?
But the best advice is to read about it, make sure it can do the things you want it to do, because they all can't do the same things. Some of them are literally just meant to be getting connection from one point to the other, but it's passing through. Some of them, but it's passing through something, so you're going to lose quality if it's not up to
Also, I'll throw out very important to make sure that it also passes video and audio.
Yeah, that's a thing too.
Because there are definitely ones out there that will not pass audio.
Make sure
you might learn the hard way.
Some of them might not have the proper like protocols and stuff on them to pass stuff like movies and stuff through. Because the way those are coded on like Blu-ray players and shit, it won't see it as a real connection, and it will say no.
Yeah.
So do research.
I mean, I use a CRT.
Well, yeah, if you're playing retro stuff, try to find a good CRT. But
yeah,
unless you have a modded system or you're playing on one of those like one of the what we have, like the modern made ones that are HDMI connection. But yeah, otherwise, try to find a CRT.
I will say for retro stuff, it's a little pricey, but RetroTink isn't terrible either. If you have the money for this type of thing.
If you start, that's a different path you're taking for sure.
That's not for that. I casually want to hook this stuff up and
get some SCART cables and a converter.
There you go.
And no problem.
There you go.
Can I SCART my PS5? Do you think? Will that work?
Oh man. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up this edition of Podcast 572. As always, you can send your emails into us at podcast572@gmail.com. I want to thank you again, Ryan, for joining us. If you want to plug anything, go for it.
I heard you have a really terrible special on Amazon. Is that true?
It's like 2 stars.
I have it. Generally speaking, it's rated pretty highly, but that 2 brought me down. I'll say that. But yes, if you want to watch my special, it's on Amazon Prime or free on Tubi. It's a second Tubi plug on here. It's called Unarmed and Dangerous. Give it a watch there. I always forget, how fast do you guys turn these around? When's it up?
This will be up tomorrow.
Okay, I don't want to promote something that can't happen. Yeah, or that you can't go back in time. We can't Turtles 3 this and you go back in time and watch ours. cripplethreat.com, where you can see my tour schedule and all that. Cripple Threat 8's all the socials. Next Thursday, so that'd be the 26th of September. If you're in Colorado, I'm making my debut in Colorado. That's a weird state that somehow I've never performed in my entire 18-year career. But so I'm going to be at the Comedy Fort in Fort Collins, Colorado. Then that following week, the 3rd of October, I'm in Rochester, New York at Comedy at the Carlson. Then I have a little run of the Midwest. I'm not quite catching Chicago area, unfortunately, but I'm doing Dubuque, Iowa on October 17th, Springfield, Illinois, the 18th and 19th. Trying to get tickets to go watch the Dolphins-Colts game.
Dolphins game. Oh, shit.
Dolphins Cubs would be my dream. It's like which team could disappoint me the most through that. Then on the 25th, I go to Eden Prairie, Minnesota. So those are the next kind of bigger things coming up. cripplethreat.com. And I also have my own podcast called The Cafeteria. I do it with Johnny LaQuasto, formerly of WWE. He's a boxing and MMA announcer as well as funny comedian. And then Brent Terhune, which some of you might know. He does the Trumper parody videos, raised the big red beard, and he's the redneck y'all love to hate. He does a lot of like viral videos where he's pro-Trump, but he's kind of making fun of those type of things. So it's called The Cafeteria. You can find it on all podcast thingamajigs.
Very cool.
And that's it. Shut up now. Yeah. Everybody be quiet.
All right. But otherwise, we will be back in another 2 weeks. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.